Hello and welcome to episode 73 of the XboxEra podcast. I'm Sikamikanico and I'm joined, as always, by Shpeshal Nick.
What's going on?
How you doing? And it's our distinct pleasure to have back once again the modern vintage gamer. Thank you again for joining us, Dim. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on again, gents. I think the last time I was on was back in March, maybe April.
It feels
It was a while back.
Something
it was
like
It's been a minute.
And you,
Thanks
you
for
were,
having me on.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to have you
good,
back.
Mate. Anytime.
But we've learned
Absolutely.
since then, since your last appearance, that you were keeping a
Yes.
dark secret.
I've got lots of secrets.
Okay, a video game related dark secret. That you got to work on the Quake Remasters.
Yep, that's right.
That dropped as a little surprise for QuakeCon, which was awesome and a great surprise. How'd that happen? I'm going to dive straight into it. Hi everyone on the chat. But how did that happen? Like, was it because through Night Dive and all of that jazz?
Well, I will start by saying I wasn't at the company when I think the deal got signed, right? So I don't know the complete backstory, but the way that I have heard that this all went down was at QuakeCon 2019, I believe. The id guys and the Night Dive kind of, the leadership guys were there, and they had dinner together one night. And the Night Dive management just said, "What's it going to take for us to redo Quake? We just did Doom 64. You guys loved it, so can we work together on this?" And I think that's how it all started. Again, I wasn't around at the time, so the story may not be accurate, but I think it was just a conversation.
Close enough.
Yeah. So the deal got signed, and I guess here we are today with Quake out on everything. So it was a lot of fun, a lot of stress, but very enjoyable to work on that project. It's a dream come true for me in many ways for me, because it's one of those games I grew up playing, when it came out. Remember Q-Test and all that stuff when it dropped the shareware Quake stuff. I was there playing that stuff on my potato machine that I had at the time.
What was it
5
called?
frames per second.
Oh, what's the PC? It wasn't a Pentium 2. It was before a Pentium 2, and it was like
It's like a Cyrix.
It's going to drive me nuts if I can't remember what it is. I swear it had 64 in X80.
486.
486.
486.
That's it. Thank you.
Yes.
That was what I had.
That's what I had. Yeah, and it ran like absolute dog shit.
It was terrible.
Doom ran good, but Quake didn't run very well. So it's just really, it's just so awesome to work on the game. I just think about it now. I'm like, man, I'm very, very lucky to work with such an awesome team of people and be work on that project, because it was a lot of fun.
I guess it's got to be like reaching back in the past and picking up a piece of your childhood and then putting it together again. Because I don't know about you guys, but whenever I play any remaster or just the game, but the res is at the maximum it can be, but it looks the same, the textures stay the same, it's like, this is what it always looks like. I'm not seeing the difference. But that's those rose-tinted glasses feeding the illusion of what games are to us before, before good tech came along and made it all shiny and fast. But yeah, what an awesome project to work with. And I guess you must have raised some eyebrows, right, when you saw this fella's rumour mill about a Quake reboot with you must have been like, what? Because I'm not saying you know anything about that. This is a completely separate project, and that rumour was referencing the IP and a new game, not a remaster. But did you sort of think, does he know anything?
I wasn't really sure. Like when I saw that, was it, crossed wires, I guess, maybe, what you had heard rumor wise was, what we were working on. But I also, I wasn't really sure, about, I guess, the messaging there. But I mean, look, things like this, honestly, like it's very difficult to kind of keep, contained in so many ways, because all it takes is one ERSB rating, or the thing that came out in Australia, the the ratings there. I mean, it's something that it's very difficult. So in the end, I think a lot of people were surprised, when it came out because I think it announced just a few hours before the announcement at QuakeCon, like that morning, and people were like, "Whoa, what is this?" Like we'd heard something about Quake coming back, but we weren't really sure, if it was a reboot, a remaster, or whatever. But I think we did the job, and we kept it under wraps pretty well in the end.
Yeah, it often seems that way, right? That the majority of stuff that is always leaks before, and it's always just before. It's like right as you get into the finish line, it's the store that leaks it, or some ratings board. There's just like, oh, here it is, and it's got like all screenshots and stuff from whenever they rated it. It's always mildly infuriating, I bet, for developers and people trying to keep that secret for months and months and months, to be beaten within the last 4 hours of like, oh yeah, there's the news. But yeah, it's an incredible project, and it's really nice to be playing Quake again at high frame rates in nice resolutions that aren't the 486.
For sure.
But aside from Quake, and obviously I was off last week, I had a nice barbecue that I threw for some power, so I've been socialising. Haven't caught COVID, thankfully. But we had some good meat. But we talked games, and the crew that I had round, we all met playing video games back in 2004, playing Halo 2. So it was nice to see some faces again after 2 years of not being allowed to. But have you guys been playing any games in the last couple of weeks that aren't the Quake remaster, perchance? Anything interesting? Nick, we'll go to you first. Have you been playing anything new?
Yeah, I'm still playing some new stuff like Psychonauts 2. I mentioned last week, and there's something I'm reviewing, which I don't think I'm allowed to mention what I'm reviewing, am I? I don't think I am.
No, not yet, technically.
No.
It's all under embargoes.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, okay. So I can't mention that, but I'm enjoying that. What else am I playing? I know I started The Last of Us 2 on PlayStation 5. Playing that at 60 was nice. I went back to Horizon because that got the PS5 update. So playing that at 60, it's like a different game. It just feels so much better at 60. What else have I been playing? I think that's about it. Psychonauts is really good though. Have you played Psychonauts, Dim?
Yeah, I'm playing that right now. I love the game. It's awesome. So that's good, isn't it? That's my game that I've been playing. I don't have that much time to play games at the moment. It's really frustrating. Like when you're a game dev, you just don't play anything. And it's not because you don't want to, you just don't have the time. But I did set aside some time last week to start Psychonauts 2. And man, that game, honestly, I don't know if you guys, I mean, I know you guys like the game, but for me, it's got to be in the conversation for Game of the Year. No doubt about it. It's that good. I love the game so much. It's so much fun to play. And Tim Schafer is an absolute legend when it comes to these games. So I'm really enjoying that one. But other than that, haven't really played much in recent times. I know that the Horizon patch came out, and I may take a look at those, but honestly, I'm kind of over Horizon Zero Dawn. I just want the new one to come out, whenever that is. So next year.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I Psychonauts 2 Game of the Year. I completely understand the conversation around it. I've been playing through pretty solidly, considering I haven't had a lot of time over the last 10 days to actually sit down and play, but I just keep discovering these wonderful little moments, and it doesn't force you to go through the narrative, but the writing is so good that you often end up just going through with conversations anyway, and it's just wonderful to play. There aren't games like it that get made anymore, I don't think. I think it's a very old school in its approach, but everything is very polished. It's just been wonderful so far. I'm really, really enjoying playing through it. And I got to experience, because, this is my big news of the week, is I've got a brand new TV, which I love to death. My wife doesn't. I'm in the doghouse. It's an 86-inch LG Nano Cell, but it supports VRR and 120 FPS.
120.
And oh my.
Yeah. 120 is good.
What were you coming from? What TV did you upgrade from? Oh man,
I had a solid LG LED 1080p set from 5 years ago. It was 65 inch.
Oh wow, so that's like going from a dial-up modem to fiber internet.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's got me into lots of things. Like I went out and bought a bunch of 4K UHD HDR discs, and I was there from the jump to VHS to DVD. I was there from the jump from DVD to Blu-ray and HD DVD. Oh wow, 1080p's nice. I've been on 1080p pretty much solidly. I have a couple of other 4K TVs in the house, and I've done some Netflix 4K stuff. I'd be like, But when I got the went out, grabbed the disc and the digital copy of Mad Max Fury Road HDR 4K, I was completely blown away, and it's just started this like, okay, I need everything. So I've picked up like Dunkirk and a few others. Not necessarily, I'm trying to pick good films, but I'm also picking films that I know apparently are just absolute showcases, because it is like living in a cinema. Like I sit there and I'm like, I'm never going to the movies ever again. I look forward to Dune releasing on streaming so I can watch it.
But the thing with the streaming in 4K is the bit rate's not quite there compared to what a disc would be.
Yeah, no. Well, no, the streaming stuff, you can tell the difference like straight away. Like I've got Disney Plus. I got a 3-month sub for free and a Game Pass perk or whatever. And I plonked through some of the Star Wars just to check it out, and it does look great. But when you've got a full fat UHD disc spinning in the drive, the color reproduction and it was just impeccable. It is such a good way to watch TV.
You should try it if you haven't already. Try out Tetris Effect on that television.
I'm on it. I'll give that. I'll re-download it to that Xbox.
Yeah.
If you want a great HDR experience, Tetris Effect is one of the best ones you can get.
Wow.
Yep. 100%.
I'm adding it to the
looks
list.
Unbelievable on the OLED. On the OLED, it just looks ridiculous. Tetris Effect. It's so good.
There is one downside to all of this, in that normally my normal house setup is Xbox Series X up here, Series S down in the lounge, and the Series S is what was plugged in to this monster TV. And it's quickly become like, some games aren't pushing that 4K, and I want them to be. So I'm going to have to trade it in and get another Series X when time and money allow at some point in the future. But yeah, it's been a really cool sort of experience. As a bit of a movie file, cinema file, whatever the phrase is, I am very much loving it. So yeah. But that's it. That's about all I've been playing. Psychonauts 2, and I haven't had much chance for anything else of interest. But it's a great game, and I'm very curious. Like, if I look about Game of the Year for this year, like I've got on my list, I've got Psychonauts 2, I've got Little Nightmares 2. I absolutely loved it, and I think it was exemplary. And I'm kind of, maybe Death's Door as well, I think would be up there for me.
Rand is already giving you some crap in the chat. He's got a super chat. Imagine getting an LG but not an OLED. Couldn't be me.
Rand,
he's kind of right. He's kind of right.
I get him.
He has a point.
But the objective was 86-inch family TV, not OLED gaming TV. And if you want to buy an 86-inch OLED, feel free to lend me some of your millions and millions of YouTube money, Rand. You know, up that super chat number a little bit, and we'll divvy it out among the team. We'll hook ourselves up. It's cool. But yeah, I get the point. And indeed, for the games room, might have to pick up a 65-inch OLED. Maybe we'll see. It's all in the future. But anyway, talking about things I can't possibly afford right now. So, what else has happened this week? I've been out of the loop for a little bit. So I did see that Halo released their blog, which talked about some of the outcomes of
the tech test.
Did you get a chance to play, Dim, of the Halo Infinite tech test at all? Did you get a chance to actually try it out, or was it just watching from afar?
I watched from afar, and not because I don't love Halo. I absolutely love it. We were in the middle of the problem. I don't want to say crunch. There was no crunch on Quake, but we were at the business end of development when that was dropping. So literally had no time to do anything other than just focus on getting that out the door. So I did watch people play it. I thought it looked really, really good. And I can't wait to play it when it comes out at the end of this year. I'm very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's great. It plays really, really nicely. And they gave us some outcomes and some bits and pieces. I think the biggest thing that caused perhaps the biggest stir that I've seen,
the radar,
was radar. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because we both played a bunch of this, right? The old school radar is picks up everything unless you're crouching. That's the gist, right? The new school radar that we got to test in the flight was picks up sprint and weapons fire or equipment use. I think those were the three things, right?
Yes,
so you could walk around normally, be radar free, enjoy life. It's great.
I liked it.
I liked it too, but there is a vocal subset of the community that filled in the surveys and gone, I don't like it. And
you mean the old school Halo fans that can't let go of the past?
Like me?
You talking about them?
That's me.
Kids like, uh-oh. Oh dear. Yeah. So
I'm just being honest, Nick. I'm just being honest.
We love honesty.
I can't let go of the past.
So do you hate sprint? Do you hate sprint?
I don't hate sprint, but I know we're deviating, and I don't want to.
It's fine. You can deviate. It's okay.
I'm unhappy about no co-op and no Forge.
Yeah. Okay, that's a different story. That's a different story.
And I think the game should have been delayed, but that's just my personal opinion.
Hey, I'm semi there with you, right? We had a long chat when I was last on, a week before last about this. And the way I phrased it was, Forge, I get, right? I wish it wasn't delayed. I'm a huge Forge fan. I love it. I've loved it since Halo 3. But it's not, it's essential in that I think you're going to miss out on a lot of the cool custom games and the community enjoying that discovery together straight at launch. But I would bet money that the conversation probably internally is something along the lines of, if Forge has a big moment all of its own, separate from campaign and separate from multiplayer's general launch, there'll be a little bit more buzz. It will be like a big hoo-ha when it does get out. So I get that, alongside it not being ready, there's like a win-win there, I think, for everyone. And I want the tool to be great. But the campaign co-op for me is the knife in the heart, because that's my tradition, and I'm sure I speak for many Halo fans. It's 20 years of it, and it hurts. I'm sad.
So if that's the case, so if you're of the belief it should have been delayed, I'm curious in your answer to this question. Then, I said to John, and I've said before, why not just release the multiplayer earlier, and then they can do what they want with the campaign?
Yeah, see, here's the problem with that. Like, I feel like if they piecemeal the game, it's giving me shades of Halo 5, right? And so I feel like this is an all or nothing type deal. Look, I don't necessarily have a problem with dropping the multiplayer first and then, adding the campaign and everything after the fact. But I also feel like, why really kind of push hard to get this game out for the holiday when you can maybe just take a little bit extra time and drop it in March next year, for example. March would still be a very successful sales period for Halo, and in some ways it may be better because you're not right up against Call of Duty and Battlefield and wherever else is coming out at the end of this year. So I don't know. I mean, just an opinion. I'm not necessarily saying it's the right one, but for me, Halo is an all or nothing deal. Like, you buy it, you get the game, you get all the cool stuff with it. There's something for everyone. There should be something there for everyone to enjoy, and taking pieces away from the game. Because I've heard people say, I don't care about Forge, but the local co-op is a huge blow. And that's my opinion. But I know people that love Forge, right? Because it's been in since Halo 3, and they're annoyed that it's not a part of the game, like, at least not for a while. So I think just taking things away from people ultimately means that when they do get added, people may not even care about it anymore. People may have moved on mentally, and they may be, they're playing other games at that point. So hopefully Microsoft has a good plan for this. I'm sure they do. I'm sure they have a good roadmap of when these deliverables will come, but it is disappointing that it's not the entire package. Yeah, for me at least.
Yeah, for sure. Like, we were planning the LAN, that we've done since every Halo launch. The last time we did it was MCC. That went not great. That was like, hey, I booked a week off. Oh.
I don't know if booking a week off in 2021 for any video game is a smart idea anymore. Yeah, probably not for the last couple of years, honestly. I mean, back in those days, I remember you would take like a few days off work and pick up Halo 3 or something and just have a good time. But man, those days they're far gone. I think.
When I had hair. when I was young.
Mate, nothing beats the week I took off for Master Chief Collection.
Oh, it was brutal.
And then half the game didn't even work.
That was the most brutal time. It really was.
God.
I was saying to Nick about this. I can't remember what episode we discussed it on, but I was there at the launch event in London for the MCC, and I kind of had this moment where I was like, when we were trying to do a LAN tournament, in front of all the cameras, and there was like just a bit of fun competition with everybody there, and it kept crashing after every game, and people had to keep coming around this tech staff like resetting. I'm like, isn't the game out tonight? Like, guys, but hey, it is what it is, and that's the. I feel sorry for the 343 team because of the amount of crap they're going to get for it, and I think they know that as well. They know they're going to get beat up, considering Forge and the delay with Halo 5, and it didn't launch with a lot of the core game types that are considered Halo. We still don't know what game types Halo Infinite is going to launch with. Is it going to have everything out of the box? Or
better have SWAT.
Yeah, well. We don't
is that your favourite, Nick? SWAT?
Yep, SWAT is
don't get him
all
started.
I play.
Please,
SWAT
Lord.
is all I play. John already made the mistake of challenging me at SWAT, and he found out why that was such a mistake.
Oh, come on! It wasn't that bad. Like he can play SWAT. I'll give him that. But I think good old proper Halo, he would be at a loss. But yeah,
I'm not good at proper
I know,
Halo.
and you admit that, and that's fine. But it's But yeah, so the radar debate is an interesting one. I kind of want them to. I feel like every time 343 try to do something new, they get beaten down. Make it like it used to be, and then there's almost a sense of buckling. But I get they're fed by user data, and they've obviously done surveys. But if the hardcore of the hardcore are playing Halo, my hope is that the final version will have that new version of the radar for more competitive ranked games, and that old school radar will be in social. But again, it's when they start going this line of we're going to have different rule sets and different rates of fire and different damage scenarios and different walk speeds for ranked versus social. Like, can't you just make the game this? It is this, and that's it. And there's no differentiating between playlists, so it always plays the same, and you can just play. It worries me a little, but we'll see. We'll see how it all lands.
You know what I did like out of those outcomes, though, and apparently they may have mentioned it, that they were going to make a part of it, but I only read it in that blog. You know how with the training grounds where you can practice with all the guns, it's timed, yeah? You get like your 30 seconds or whatever it is to take out the bots. Apparently they're going to do an untimed version.
Nice.
Where you can just sit there and keep... I know that sounds like nothing, but I actually quite like that. Like, I would have liked to have been able to spend more time in the proving grounds or whatever it's called, and
feel your way around the guns.
I like that they took that feedback on board and they're going to implement it. I know it sounds like nothing, but I actually quite like that.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's a good shout. While I'm on the subject of Halo, and I'd be remiss of me not to mention this, I actually got a present from one of the XboxEra staff who was at the barbecue this weekend, which is this FanFest Halo T-shirt. So thank you, Harmonica. Cool. It is a very
Harmonica,
nice
I assume, yeah.
Yeah. He just turned up. He was like, "Hey, I got one." And I was like, "Oh, mate, he's a good chap." He's Harmonica. So that's Halo. What else? I guess let's dive into before I do. There's one super chat, seeing as it's tentatively linked. Is we've got I believe his username is "Don't subscribe to Game Pass."
Oh God, are you going to read that?
I'm going to read it out. Yeah.
Wait, is that Xbox Killer?
No, it's a new guy. Don't subscribe to Game Pass is his username.
Okay.
And he says PlayStation will own Xbox next week. He doesn't like Nick or MVG. Thanks. Well, I'm glad that I'm liked and loved by the PlayStation community.
He doesn't like Greek people.
I mean, Xbox Killer always gives me crap. He follows me around, so it's.
Does he really?
Him. Oh yeah.
Oh wow! Where did they get the idea that you're like a?
Well, see, the last time I was on the show, I was on the Spawncast the following weekend, and then there was a super chat from Xbox Killer that said MVG was on XboxEra or something.
Your name is mud now. You've been tainted
Yeah.
by our name. We're sorry.
Sorry, mate.
Yeah, he seems to follow everyone around, and I guess that's I guess we're talking about Sony now. So thank you for the segue.
Gave us the segue.
Yeah. So Nick, I know you posted and you'd heard rumors bubbling away about a September Sony showcase. That was then proven correct, I think, earlier this week.
Yep.
Happening later on in the month, 40 minutes long. September showcase. We know in amongst that, and we'll get to the controversy, the bad news they tried to just bury before they announced this good news. But before we get to that whole upgrade, whatever it is for Zero Dawn, what are you guys expecting to see from Sony? Anything of interest? God of War?
God of War, I've been told, is going to be there. And it's funny, I actually showed the DM I got to show people that, I don't know how much more I can show. I don't make stuff up. Like, I even literally post the DMs I get now.
So I got told, Ryan, or
yeah, I saw your tweet. Is that mate? I wish that was Jim. So yeah, God of War's gonna be there, and it's funny. I put out another tweet. There's actually a bunch of stuff that I've heard could or could not be there, but a lot of that's like, I don't know if it's made up. I don't know if it's crap. I'm almost tempted to mention some of the very, very grain of salt unconfirmed stuff I've heard, but I'm wary of saying it and then seeing on Reddit later that Nick said all this stuff is going to be at the show when I have no idea. Like,
you don't want another Elden Ring scenario, right?
That's what I mean. Like, I don't want to sit there and say this is possible and then it's like I'm saying it's confirmed when it's not. So the only one that I'm basically sure is going to be there is God of War. I think on Reddit there was a rumor about a Resistance collection.
That's interesting, considering the Resistance website was taken offline.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, how much of this stuff is made up? How much of this stuff is people just dreaming? I don't know. There's a few things I've heard. If they're true, then it should be a really good show. If they're true, but I haven't said anything publicly because it's not stuff I've been able to confirm. God of War is the only thing that, as everyone saw, it was a definitive yes, God of War's going to be there. Nice. And I love the 2018 game, so the next one should be really, really good.
Yeah, I saw a rumor bouncing around. It was 40 hours long. I don't know why that was plucked out of the internet and shown to have some weight behind it. But I don't know about you guys, but when I hear a game is 40 hours long, I groan rather than celebrate.
Same here.
I don't think that can be accurate, because do you remember when Cyberpunk was going through its marketing bullshit and they said, "Oh, that's like 110 hours or something for the main campaign," and people just beat it in 15, 20 hours, right? Like a normal game. So I don't tend to put too much stock into when you hear about the length of a game. It could well be 40 hours, right? If you do everything, right?
Yeah.
But there's going to be people that just rip through the campaign in about 10 to 15 hours, and I don't see that really changing for this game.
Do you guys?
I hope so.
Do you guys think it's a 2022 game or a 2023 game?
I still think 2022, probably late 2022, but yeah.
Interesting.
I would agree. I think it's 2022. I never believed, because remember earlier this year they were saying that maybe it was going to come out this year or something, and I never believed it was coming out this year. But I think next year is feels good for that game to come out. I would think that, and I don't know this, but I feel like that game started its development maybe 6 to 8 months after the end of the God of War game on the PS4, and they just they took a bit of a break, and then they rejuvenated and they started working on the next one. So I think the game has probably been in development longer than we think. And here we are. I think it's coming out next year.
Yeah.
I had always been told. I had always been told it was a 2022 game from the start. Always, even before they announced it was 2021, had always been told it was 2022. So I'll stick with that.
Yeah, I've just seen Christopher Jetsa on the super chat, he's actually given some clarification for where the 40 hours rumor come from. David Jaffe says he heard it was 40 hours, but also says he thinks that is too long. So
it is too long.
It would be if that was actually true. I don't see a AAA game with that kind of production value being that long unless it's severely padded out. Maybe there's loads of slow walk and talk scenes. Who knows?
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, looking forward to seeing it. Looking forward to, for the PlayStation community to have some fun and celebrate some stuff, right? Because Sony have been very quiet, and I think that's probably caused some pain because Xbox are often far too noisy, even when they don't need to be. So hopefully they'll have fun and enjoy it later on this month, and we'll see some cool new games. Do you reckon we'll see any new IP from Sony announced?
Hopefully.
Maybe.
Yeah, hopefully.
Maybe.
I honestly have no idea what to expect from the show. I think God of War is probably the only one that I think is going to be there. Maybe Kenna, because that's coming out here pretty soon.
Mm-hmm.
Forspoken as well.
So maybe. I mean, it's hard to really say what Sony's got lined up, but I mean, for me, like if you go back and watch previous years' shows, we get so excited and hyped about these shows, and usually maybe 1/4 of the things that we expect actually happen. So I'm tempering expectations like I normally do for these types of shows. But if we get to see more of God of War, maybe we get to see some more of Gran Turismo 7. I would walk away feeling pretty good about it. I mean, I think next year is obviously Sony, rebounding. This year's they've been pretty quiet, right? I mean, I guess the first half of the year was good for them, but the second half really hasn't really been that great. Other than a couple of, I guess, going back to the well and bringing out some updates to PS4 games that run on PS5 and whatnot. But I think next year's going to be a big year for Sony, and they know it.
Yeah,
they're really gonna come with the thunder next year. So it'll be good.
Come out swinging, and that's when this industry is at its best, right? Is when you've got all the platform holders vying for the almighty dollar and doing their best for everybody and releasing cool games. That's what every single gamer should want, because it just means we get to feast. I love that.
Yep.
But it's interesting. You mentioned, PS4 and PS5 remasters and some of that stuff. So I guess let's talk about the bad news that they kind of dropped just before they dropped their showcase.
Hoping
date.
it would just sort of get buried.
Unfortunately, it's good to see. Normally, and I'm speaking anecdotally, and I'm being general in my words here, so please don't take this personally if any PlayStation fans are listening. But normally when Microsoft screw up, and they do regularly, the Xbox community is very, very vocal, and we usually get a good response out of Microsoft because of that, because of their interaction with the community. PlayStation community is a little different in that I've noticed whenever terrible stuff is done, there's some minor grumbling, but it's just kind of swallowed and carry on with it. I'm not seeing that so much this time. I'm seeing a lot of backlash at Horizon. Is it Zero Dawn or Forbidden West?
Forbidden West.
Yeah.
Having you can't upgrade it, right? I want to make sure I get this accurate. You buy the PS4 version, you can't just pay $10 to upgrade it to PS5. You've got to future-proof yourself and spend $80 on the deluxe version that has both versions.
Yeah, there's two issues here. The first is that they basically said there would be a free upgrade at the start. They said earlier on, and then some people have been like, "Oh, but that they mentioned launch window games." It's like, yeah, okay, they said launch window, but they mentioned Horizon Forbidden West. And then it went from being a free upgrade to now only being if you buy the Super Ultra Deluxe, whatever the hell it is, edition. So I think the combo of that has left a really sour taste in people's mouths. Like, in the end, it's a first-party game. Like, you could argue, like I've seen some people say, "Oh, you've got a PS5, just buy the PS5 version." It's like, yeah, but there's millions of people that have a PS4 and can't get a PS5 and might not be able to for a long time. Like, those people shouldn't, A, have to pay twice, and B, shouldn't be forced into a more expensive version that they may not get to take advantage of for God knows how long.
Yeah.
Like, it's just there's really just no genuine way you can justify this. It's just a bit.
It's a bit sour tasting, isn't it?
It's just.
Yeah, I think for me, Sony, they've had a pretty rough go of their marketing, and most of it's self-inflicted. They initially were dishonest about 2021 releases. They were dishonest about games being PS5 exclusives. So remember Gran Turismo, God of War. Horizon was always Forbidden West was also always a PS4 game, so it wasn't that one. And now they're in this situation again, with Horizon being not being a free update from PS4 to PS5. And I mean, anyone, even the biggest Sony fanboys out there can't dispute that Sony has been dishonest with some of their wording and their marketing around, how they make these announcements. And I think ultimately people are just getting pissed off with it. They're getting fed up with it. Even like I've seen Sony, centric outlets reporting on it as well, saying how disgusted they are or how annoyed they are about what's going on. Will this change? Will Sony actually say, we hear you guys and we're going to fix this? I don't know the answer to that. Hopefully they do. Hopefully they do. But at the end of the day, people, these big multi-billion corporations, all they look at is the sales and the bottom line. And the game is still going to sell a shitload of copies. It's going to be very successful. And Jim Ryan is going to be applauded for being a genius, because at the end of the financial year, when they open up the books, he's going to have the biggest profits in the history of Sony and PlayStation. And that's really what it comes down to. So will this change? I hope it does, but unfortunately, I don't think it is. And
probably not.
And look, at the end of the day, Sony doesn't have a clear path to upgrades, right? Like, they don't have the smart delivery thing that Microsoft does. And it seems like every time a new game gets announced, a cross-gen game, there's always these questions. Well, how do I upgrade to the PS5 version? How much is it going to cost me to get there? And it seems like the answer is always different depending on the game. So I think Sony probably wants to be done with PS4. They probably want to be done with PS4 like a year ago, but unfortunately they can't. They have to hold on to it for a little while. And maybe they never really factored in that they were going to be still, pushing the PS4, right, in going into next year. And they just thought, well, we don't really need an upgrade, an upgrade path, because we're going to have people off the PlayStation 4 and people are going to be on PS5. But obviously, here we are today with most people can't even get a PS5. Now they've gone back and said, well, PS4 is going to be the system for a little while longer. And now they don't really know how to handle, the upgrade path other than just to do these, ridiculous things. So I don't know, man. I don't know what the answer to this is. I mean, hopefully they take a look at this, but honestly, I don't think they will. I think they'll just move on.
Write it out.
Sony's always been, a nameless, faceless entity when they make these announcements. They just announce them and then they move on. They never, say we screwed up and, we're going to offer a free upgrade or whatever. They just kind of move on to the next thing. So I don't see it changing here.
Yeah.
We've got a super chat from Chris Jetzer. I wonder why Sony gets away with no backward entitlement. Makes me wonder how much Horizon Forbidden West was to develop to need a deluxe $80 price. Bad look, Sony. Yeah, I mean,
I think
if only there was like a delivery system, like something that's really intelligent that just sort of allows you to have one version across multiple devices. Wouldn't that be good?
Man,
be handy right now.
There's so many people out there on Twitter that mocked the hell out of that term. Hell, even I rolled my eyes when they started banging on about smart delivery. But it's
I got to be honest. Sorry,
no,
John.
go on. Yeah, you're probably on the same.
I got to be honest. I was the same when Xbox announced the Series X and S, and they were talking about smart delivery. I was like, that's the biggest load of marketing BS I've heard. You're just literally pushing a version of the game to the console, right? I was like, well, what's the big deal? Like, it doesn't. it sounds like a nothing kind of line item. But I mean, they proved me wrong. It's obviously very important, especially now when it's very clear that the Xbox One and the PS4 are going to stick around for a little while longer. They're not done yet, and I think it's a very important feature to have at this time.
Yeah,
it's great.
It's all about that back end, right? Because I think that from a game development perspective, and I'm no expert, right? But as I understand it, the gist is that Microsoft allow one version, and that one version understands what it's playing on and can pick and choose what elements it adds to its download file, and that's what you play. Whereas Sony didn't allow for that, and so when you want to upgrade, you have to download an entirely new build of the game that's built to run on the PlayStation 5, right? So yeah, good forward thinking from Microsoft there, I suppose. But it just makes this whole debacle, because that gaming Twitter can be equal parts horrifying and amusing and or everything in between, but it's just that constant drum roll of, oh, I'll just put my disc in, or I'll just download my game and that's it, I'm done. It makes it shine all the more as how ugly a system it is and how many problems it causes. So it's
I do think it's good though that a lot of the big PlayStation content creators seem to have been calling it out though.
Yeah, it is good.
It is a bit of a shift compared to what they normally do. So I don't know if that hopefully helps long term. Like, I doubt they're going to backtrack now on Horizon. I doubt it. It'd be great if they did, but I doubt it. But I suspect, I wonder if it will be different for, say, God of War. I wonder if it'll be different for the games that are coming out after Horizon. I
think it will. I think they'll look at them individually. I'm not saying each one is going to be as egregious as Horizon Forbidden West, but I think God of War, right? They're going to look at the sales numbers around the previous game, and they're going to make it. They potentially could make a different decision on how they, provide an upgrade to that game. So I think, I think that's really the frustration is no one really knows, on any given game, how to upgrade to a PS5 version. It's going to be kind of communicated to you, and not just pushed to you, kind of automatically like what smart delivery does.
Yeah,
for sure. And it's interesting. I actually heard a couple of things today. One, I heard that actual Xbox One S and One X consoles, as well as PlayStation 4 consoles, because of the microchip shortage that's affecting current gen, those last gen machines are also running in short supply, right? And where are Sony and Microsoft's focus is going to be? They're going to be on the newer stuff, right? They don't want to go out and sell more Xbox Ones. They want to sell Series S and Series X. Same for PlayStation wanting to sell more PS5s and PS4s. So it's an interesting situation to be in, but regardless, it's good to see that neither console maker is ignoring that, be it 50 million install base or 100 million for Sony. They're still trying to look after them. I feel like we know where Microsoft's last game will be, though, that it's going to be on Xbox One from a AAA perspective, and that sounds like it's going to be
Halo.
But it does sound like there's a decent catch-all with xCloud coming to console, in that that Xbox One player next year could play Redfall or Starfield via xCloud on their Xbox One, which is kind of cool. Like, what a unique opportunity that is to, if you can't find a console, you can still play the game. I love that.
It's a good retention tool.
It is. It's nice.
It's good.
It's nice. It's very well thought out. So that's all the controversies out of the way. The other thing we heard is, and it was a bit of a weird one, Microsoft announced they would be at the Tokyo Game Show. Great. And then there was the phrase exclusive news and reveals, which was then swiftly edited out to just be no exclusive news or reveal. What are we expecting? Are we expecting anything? Are we expecting some minor things? Just revisits?
I don't know. There's stuff I'm hoping for. Like, it'd be nice for the people that are into their Japanese games. It'd be nice if they could announce some more ports of stuff. Like, I know Bravely Default 2 got announced for Steam, and I put out a tweet a while back alluding to maybe Bravely Default coming to Game Pass. So I know Octopath Traveler had a similar path. It came out on PC, and then a little while after it came out on Xbox. So I'm guessing Bravely Default will probably follow a similar path. So this may be the time to announce it. Obviously, we've had our rumors of Persona 5 for quite a while. Again, is this the place to announce it? I don't know. I'm not too familiar with the Japanese game scene, to be honest.
Yeah,
so
it's not your jam. It's not mine either, right? But I do feel particularly for Xbox fans that want those types of games and find themselves regularly left wanting and without being able to play them where they want to play. So hopefully that happens less and less as this generation goes on. But it's interesting that, I know they're still not selling great. I don't think any of the big consoles are in terms of size, right? I'm not talking in terms of market share. They're not, neither platform holder is selling particularly well. The Switch is still the king out there. But I think Xbox are doing better than they thought they would be doing, right?
Yeah, Series S is surprising a little bit over in Japan. It's selling better than I think what they expected it. I mean, it's not selling gangbusters, but I think the numbers are up from what they initially anticipated, which is good because I think, the Series S it's a system that I think, over in Japan, they can certainly embrace. It's smaller, it's more compact, it's still very powerful. And I think that's ultimately, what they're looking for. So we'll see how that goes. I'm interested to see what we see at Tokyo Game Show. Like you guys, I don't really know what to expect. I don't think there's going to be a huge presence from Xbox at TGS. But you never know. There may be an announcement or two that we hear from. Phil maybe opened up his checkbook again and got some Game Pass things signed up. We'll see.
Yeah,
always nice to see.
We've got a super chat from Widya Santoso. Cloud gaming goes live in Japan around TGS time. So that's cool. There could be a link there.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Cloud game on your phone in Japan. Why not?
Well, that's mobile is
king. There. Like it's better than the Switch out there, right? So be very, very interesting to see how that market responds to it. But I think that's the beauty, right? Is if you've got great mobile infrastructure, but there isn't a huge console market share, and that's Microsoft what they're banking on. They're going across all of these different segments, just trying to increase. Because generally, if you're going to make a console, you'll get to maybe 100 million. And that's it. That's the market. You've got to think a bit more outside the box. It's the most interesting generation we're going to have for a while, I think, because everyone's coming at it with a different game plan, and I'm more curious than most, perhaps, to see how Sony will end up on it. Because Microsoft are forward planning here, and it feels a little bit like Sony is sticking to tried and true a little bit, right? And I just wonder if that 3 years from now is going to bite them in the behind a little bit. But
the irony of that is that it was Sony. It was Sony that dipped into the other stuff first. So it was Sony that bought, was it Gaikai Live for their
on Live, wasn't it?
Stream. No, I thought it was Gaikai they bought. I can't remember
which one it was.
Sony had remote play on the PS3. Even they had remote play to the PlayStation Portable and So it's just funny that it was Sony that dipped their toes in this stuff first, but then never really fully jumped in. They just they dipped their toe and then that was it.
The temperature wasn't to their liking.
Yeah.
They dipped back out.
So it's just, it's sort of funny that.
Yeah, it definitely is. So, I mean, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, I think that's probably about it in terms of actual news. The only other thing I wanted to mention, because I think it came out today, like within the last couple of hours, is there's been long-standing rumours about Alan Wake coming back in some form or fashion, and now a remaster listing has been spotted. I think it was Wario64 that put it out on Twitter for Xbox Series S and X and PlayStation 4 and 5, I want to say. It might just be PS5. So, but that's exciting.
Yes.
I wonder if that's going to be at the Sony showcase, and that would be weird. Like, here's an old Microsoft exclusive that's now coming to PlayStation for the first time. Because obviously, I think Remedy, There's some developers within Remedy that are very public about their seeming hatred for Microsoft. I'm not going to name any names, but they're quite public about it on Twitter. And there's a lot of backslapping and congratulatory tweets between a lot of the exec folks between Remedy and PlayStation anyway. So I do wonder if that remaster is going to make its debut at the Sony Showcase.
But wouldn't Microsoft have had to sign off on that in some fashion? I thought they had first right of refusal on publishing just for that game, for Alan Wake.
I remember reading, and I'm not speaking from a place of absolute knowledge, but I'm sure that there was some IP hiccups, and I believe Remedy bought it back. But I don't know. I'm pretty sure.
I think you're right. Okay. Because I remember
there was a music licensing issue, wasn't there?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, there was some issue, and I think you're right. I think Remedy did get it back they secured it back from Microsoft.
Okay, then this would make sense then. Yeah.
Do you reckon it's going to be called Director's Cut?
Oh, I think it's just going to be called Remastered, isn't it?
I hope so.
Probably.
Revitalized.
I like Alan Wake, and
loved it.
Short of a sequel, which may or may not ever appear, I'm pretty excited about this one. I think if they give it the remastered treatment, the 120 and the ray tracing and all that stuff, the HDR,
be great.
Especially with that's a game that obviously makes really good use of lighting, because it's obviously one of the core features of the game. So having that on running on modern consoles with modern display on your 85-incher there, John, I think would look incredible.
Ooh, yeah, so. I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be fun. There was another rumor as well that Britt just kindly reminded me of in the chat, which was the Uncharted PC Collection. Now, I would pick this up, right? I haven't played. I don't think I played Uncharted 3 or 4. I just haven't bothered. But if it came to PC, I'd certainly have a look. Depends how much they'd be looking to sell it for, in all honesty. Because is this going to be 60, 70, 90? I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows?
I mean, it's a bunch of old games, so you'd assume it wouldn't be that much.
I'm not that confident. I'm not that naive.
It's funny though. I got a DM on Twitter like a day or two before that was announced, and it's weird. I get DMs about stuff that it's just random stuff. Like, hey Nick, I got a DM about Hogwarts and whether it's going to be at the Sony show. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I have no idea. And I just get DMs like that constantly. And I had someone ask me, "Oh, do you know anything about an Uncharted collection for PC?" And I'm like, "Not." And then literally a day or two later, we got that leaked shot of the Uncharted PC collection. It's just funny.
Yeah, it's interesting. But again, that speaks to, I guess, Sony. That's arguably why they picked up Nix's, right? Is that they know they are leaving money on the table, and these games, you want these big AAA exclusive bangers. You can't survive if they take 5 years ago to make, relying on a market of only 100 million consoles. And especially if you look at what the sales are, if you would hope if you made a AAA banger of critical acclaim that you'd sell 100 million copies to every user that owns your console, right? But that is just not the case. That's not how many of these games sell ever. 10 million, 20 million. It's you need to branch out in order to try and recoup some of those costs. So it's nice for those that play on PC. I will certainly pick up some Sony games there if they start coming. But I have a sneaking suspicion it will be dribs and drabs. It will not be day and dates. It will not be new games. It will be, here's a taster of what you're missing. Come buy a PlayStation 5. That's what it is.
Yeah.
We'll see.
One last thing though before we move on. While we're still talking about PlayStation, so one other I don't know if you want to call it a controversy that came up was about the video Austin Evans did on the revised PlayStation 5.
I heard some horrifying crap came from the PlayStation community on this.
I know. Don't dox people and send death threats just because of a YouTube video someone makes. Seriously, grow up.
It's bizarre.
But the only reason I wanted to bring it up is because Dim knows the ins and outs of his hardware. He literally takes stuff apart and all that sort of stuff. So allegedly they've gone with a smaller heatsink And then I think Austin found in his video that it was running a little bit hotter, but I can't remember if he based that temperature increase on the exhausted heat.
Yeah, he did.
Because isn't that technically a good thing then?
Yeah, so, I mean, I think the only thing that's really factual about the new PlayStation Revision is there is indeed a smaller heatsink, right? And there is a different fan in there. But I think it's very hard to say that it's running hotter. And I think, for me, I'm waiting for Digital Foundry because they've got one right now and they're taking it apart literally as we speak. And I think they're going to have a report on their findings. And I'm not saying that Austin Evans was being... he was lying or anything. I just feel like some of the measurements that he took weren't really, something that you would normally do in a laboratory, right? If you're going to say this is actually running hotter. So he was saying that the PlayStation 5 Revision was running 3 to 5 degrees Celsius warmer than his original model. And the way he did that was he had a thermal imaging camera and he just, took temperature shots from the exhaust, right? And yes, between A/B testing the two that he had, and I think he had Astro's Playroom running, which that's probably not the game that I would have picked, but whatever.
Would have put something with a little bit more beef to it, right?
Right. So when I tested temperatures from the exhaust, I tested Call of Duty with ray tracing turned on, and let me tell you, it was a lot hotter than what Austin was getting. I was getting, I think it was like 92 degrees Celsius from the exhaust, which is way hotter than the revision that he had. So, what am I getting at? What's the point? Well, the point is, it's impossible to accurately say that the system is running hotter at the exhaust, even if you are testing two systems side by side. The only real measurement is to take readings at the chip, at the die, right? So you got to put a thermal thing on it, a thermal, whatever you call it, probe on it, and take readings off the chip. Now, the chip itself and the motherboard is identical. Nothing has changed, at least as far as I know, right? DF is going to, they're going to report on it, so we'll know, everything. But so if the chip is the same, then it stand to reason that the temperatures are the same at the chip, which means that, yes, to your point, Nick, if the temperature is hotter at the exhaust, then it's doing its job. It's cooling appropriately. So I don't necessarily disagree with Austin's findings, and I do agree that people that are doxing him and basically sending him death threats and whatever. I mean, that's completely unacceptable.
Mental.
No one should have to go with that. YouTube is a game, and I know what it takes to to get good views on a video, and he certainly does. So I don't fault him for that, but I also kind of wish that he just maybe sent it to someone like a tech expert and said, is there anything here that I need to edit, because I'm saying a couple of things here that are assumptions that may not be entirely accurate. But hey,
hindsight is wonderful.
Yeah. I mean, he hit trending. He got like 1.5 million views on the video.
With the revenue on the video.
At the end of the day, at the end of the day, there's nothing really else to say. He did the job. So, I did see that follow-up video where he was, he was talking about getting doxed and everything. But yeah, just wait for DF's video. That they'll have a good concise look at this thing. But I don't think it's really much to do about anything. It's just a revision. Like
it happens all the time.
If you guys remember the 360, how many revisions of the hardware of the heatsink and the heatsink and the fans and the shroud, like they tried so many different things. And I feel like this is going to be the same. We're going to see a lot of iterations of the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox, right? We're going to see more iterations where maybe they reduce some cost by, replacing the fans or replacing the heat sinks. It's just going to happen. It's the nature of consoles. Look at the PS2. There's so many revisions of the PlayStation 2. Like there's literally about 13 or 14 revisions of that system. They all play the games exactly the same. In theory, I mean, some of them, aren't as good, but
on the Super Slim.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, if the games perform the same, which is what needs to happen, then there's really nothing else to say. So
it's true, and it's funny. Hardware gets revised all the time, and it reminds me of an article that I'm working on at the moment. I'm going to put a Twitter poll out about it actually, and I was curious. You guys have probably both got. an Elite pad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually don't, but I did order the
Halo one.
Halo one.
Sorry, the Halo one. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I'm a sucker for those things.
So
Yeah.
this is my query, right? And chat, I'd love you to pipe up, and I will stick a Twitter link up because I'm writing a piece on it because I want to get the community's take on it, right? This was £150 in the UK, right? That is a lot. That's 3 times the normal cost of a pad. Now this is
$250 here.
How old's the Series 2 Elite? Is it just
Couple
coming
of
up
years,
to
I
2
think, now.
years, right? Everybody I know personally that has one, their right bumper is occasionally now not pressing correctly. Now listen to this. Can you hear that?
Whoa!
Oh wow!
Yeah.
There is
rattle.
something broken in here. I was playing, and all the buttons work. The right bumper's a little bit iffy, but they do work as long as you really firmly press it. I was playing the other day, and the rattling noise stopped, and my left stick was stuck. Like I couldn't physically move the stick because that thing had fallen into wherever the mechanism was.
So
And
there's like a
stopped
chunk
the
of
stick.
plastic that's like wedged in there or something.
And obviously, I shook the pad
Or a screw.
and it worked all fine again. But this should not be happening on this product, in my opinion. And what really bugs me about this is the outside of this is lovely. It feels great to hold. These metal pieces are great. The metal D-pad is wonderful. The buttons and triggers feel great. But if you're going to use the same cheap plastic inside parts to put all of this extra weight on that are going to break in exactly the same way as another pad, and I'd argue, anecdotally, without any scientific basis, because they are heavier and more weighty, would put more strain on those same cheap plastic parts. I don't feel it's good enough, and it makes me cross because, yes, like you, Tim, I also bought the Halo Infinite Series 2
I got
Elite,
one too.
Yeah,
and I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, great, it's going to look gorgeous, but how long is it going to last me? Like, I've had 360 pads that are still good now, right?
Yeah.
Why is this hard to get right? And I want to know from the community how many of your Elite pads are busted. And I'm sure there's going to be a number of them.
Can I interrupt for a sec?
Yeah, of course.
I'm just seeing in the chat, Rand jumped in with the chat.
Oh, God.
You know, we were talking before, Dim was like, do we think Sony's going to backtrack on Horizon? Guess what Sony just announced?
No way.
Did they backtrack?
Yeah.
Did they?
That's what the chat's saying. The chat's saying that Sony literally just announced that they've backtracked on Horizon not getting a free upgrade.
They have.
Thank you, Jim Ryan, for watching this podcast. And
I know.
reverse
See,
editing.
You're welcome,
look at that.
PlayStation.
Jim was in my DMs, and then he obviously watched the podcast.
Oh, well, we say backtrack. I want to confirm that today, moving forward, PlayStation first-party exclusive cross-gen titles, newly releasing on PS4 and PS5, both digital and physical, will offer a $10 USD digital upgrade option from PS4 to PS5.
Which is the standard, right?
Fair enough.
That's
I'm
not
fine
as
with that.
bad.
Yeah.
That's not as bad.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a lot better than making someone either pay twice or pay for the Super Deluxe Ultra Turbo Alpha edition of the game.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well,
See,
I mean,
whinging works.
Yeah, I guess I stand corrected. Sony does listen, and it's great. It's refreshing to see, good. And it's I appreciate the transparency on this one because they screwed this one up for sure. So good to see that they are backtracking on this one.
Yeah,
yeah.
I want to put congrats on doing the right thing, but I don't know. I still argue why should it cost $10?
I know $10. I know.
Maybe that's just me. I get it. I know. Games are expensive and. It's
one of those I guess the better the devil you know, or I don't know. It's still not the best that you've got to pay $10 to upgrade when your direct competition doesn't charge anything. But
as
market
always,
leadership.
I don't disagree, but I'd also argue. I mean, why would you pay the 10 anyway? Because I mean, if you have the PS4 version and then you later on get a PS5. Would you really revisit Horizon on the PS5? And I'm not picking on Horizon. I'm just saying in general, would you, I mean, it sounds like, I want to try these old games again, but most people just kind of move on, after they've beaten the game once. I mean, for me, if my only recourse was to play Forbidden West on a PS4 and then I got a PS5 later, I don't necessarily think I would pay the $10. I mean, Ghost of Tsushima is a great example of that. I played it on the PS4. I loved it. I beat it. I have zero desire to play it on the PS5, even with the expansion, which I've heard is really good. It's just I've moved on from Ghost. You know, I want God of War and I want Gran Turismo and I want Forbidden West now. So that they're the games I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, and the thing is, a lot of I just started, as I said earlier, Horizon Zero Dawn again on PS5 because it got that patch to unlock the frame rate or whatever it was. I can't remember the specifics, and it still looks great, and the 60 makes it feel great. So I don't know, maybe the PS4 version of Forbidden West will be similar.
Sorry. Let me just correct, because obviously we're doing this live. I only read the initial quote tweet. The actual gist from the post is Forbidden West will be free. It's only,
so it will be free.
Yeah, right. It's only games that will apply. So next God of War, Gran Turismo, they'll have a $10 upgrade.
What else can we start bitching about so they can change that?
Yeah. So Horizon then was the free one to say sorry for the screw up, but then the future ones will
give us our money, you
$10.
bastards.
We'll get it back on God of War and the others.
Oh man, I love it.
That's good though. Free's good.
Free's good. Free's good. Thank you to the chat.
In an ideal world,
keeping me honest.
They'd all be free.
Absolutely. Well, okay. Look, there's a bit of live drama going on for our live podcast. Why not, eh? Before we move on to thanking our patrons and community questions, I have to ask, it's not in our notes, but there's a lot of people out there that have missed the Rumour Mill jingle. Do we get to press the button this week, Nick, or is there just not a sausage?
I asked. The source that told me about God of War, I sent them a DM last night saying, is there anything you can tell me about the Sony show besides God of War that I can maybe mention on the Rumour Mill? And I had not even received a reply. So, nothing, unfortunately. Yeah.
There you go, folks.
Sorry.
Oh, the viewership's dropped by like 70%. Nah, our community are lovely. They're sticking around because now it's all about their questions.
Is that why people hang out for the Rumour Mill?
They love the Rumour Mill. It's the jingle that they love more than the actual rumour content. If you haven't seen the jingle, it's brilliant. It's an invention. That is something wonderful. So, look, before we dive in, DeoGame's come in with a super chat here. Have we heard anything BTS on Avowed?
Behind the scenes?
Yeah, I guess. Anything behind the scenes on Avowed. After the Avellone tweet, which is Chris Avellone, I think. One of the guys who used to work at Obsidian. I think he did work on Dying Light 2 before being let go. He resigned, whatever. I've heard, I can't remember, so I don't want to say it and be definitive, but I heard there was some accusations, should we put it that way, about his behaviour in certain regards. I don't know the guy. I can't remember. I'm not going to bother going to look into it. But apparently he was mocking and saying some stuff on Twitter about Avowed. You guys heard about this? Heard anything on this?
Heard, but I haven't looked in details. But I think Jez already debunked it.
I believe he said he spoke to some folks who actually laughed at Avallone's tweets. So, load of bull crap.
But I think he's been fairly salty for a while ever since leaving Obsidian.
Lots of salty posts on
I'm assuming
RPG
that
site.
divorce didn't go smoothly.
No,
I'm assuming. But
yeah,
it is what it is, man.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah, I haven't really heard anything about it. I mean, Chris was someone that was in the industry and kind of got run off, for things that he's done in his past. And I'm not sure if the information he's presenting is accurate or not. I tend to not read into stuff like that anyway. But I'm sure we'll hear more from Avowed in the coming months anyway. So I would look to that.
Plenty of games to be shown at the Game Awards. Microsoft's got to have a few bangers lined up, a few surprises.
I'd say so.
Anyway, so without further ado, before we dive into our community questions, we have to say a big thank you to our patrons. So massive, big hugs and kisses and all of those fun things to Crow56, Blast the Bass, Nodorius, Not Jax, Sowing Shade, The Scarecrow 121, Torn Raptor, VK Andrew, Brit, Keris, Duke Chaos, Notian, Gabquist, Hexa, J Repper, Cartoon Soldier, Prof JJJ, Red Sun, Shadowgasm, Somnia, and Running Riot. Love you guys. Now it's worth mentioning, I also owe our patrons an apology. I am probably a month late in updating our t-shirt and sticker packs and things. We're on it, we're on the case, and we'll get that sorted. But one thing we probably look to do is we'll get some feedback from you guys first, so check out the Patreon lounge, but we may turn on annual memberships rather than us having to update it every 3 months. We can kind of come up with a better automated way of actually utilizing some of Patreon's tools to better deliver fun and cool stuff to you guys. So keep an eye out on the Patreon lounge forum for that. Yeah, there you go. That's our updates. I have a community question of my own. So before we dive in,
I was actually about to bring that up, and I was wondering
you.
if you were going to ask them before we got into the community questions.
So
go on.
It's funny, right? I'm hijacking community questions for my own purposes. I am a huge fan of Westwood's Blade Runner, and for some reason, Google constantly serves up this really old Eurogamer article where they talk about why the remaster was delayed, why it's actually so difficult. Because I understand, and I can't believe I just didn't put two and two together. Oh, he works at Night Dive. You guys have been working on that project for a while, and you've encountered some hurdles. You know, I'm just curious if there's any new news, because I really want to play it again in all of its glory.
Yeah, we can talk about Blade Runner. So first of all, I don't want to say that article was incorrect or anything, but at Night Dive we never give release dates for anything. Like, we're not that company where we say it's coming out, you know, in 6 months. So I'm not really sure where the delayed thing came from.
I'm probably paraphrasing too much. It was just talking about how difficult it's been to bring it back to life. I think is probably a better way for me to put it.
Right. So the game is, I mean, we're working on it, and I can't say when it's going to come out, but it's being actively developed, and you know, it's on the list of things that we want to get out. Again, I don't want to say when, but yeah, it's being developed, and things are progressing along really well. I think, you know, to answer the question about, you know, why it's taken so long, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. So we're talking about a game that came out, I don't remember when it was, 96 or something. I want to say
90, 97, 98, something like that.
Yeah.
And it uses FMV a lot.
It uses FMVs. It came out on 4 CDs. Yeah. And what's interesting is it's not just looping kind of video that runs in the background and that has a sprite, you know, superimposed like most point and click adventure games at the time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of interaction. There's 3D models, and this was before 3D rendering, so everything is software rendered, right? Well, back in the original game, there's a lot of interactivity with the backgrounds. There's also a depth layer as well. So there's also lighting effects. So if you click on McCoy and you point him, you click under a light, he'll illuminate like this. So there's lighting in the game. There's depth in the game. So it's actually a lot more complex than just the average point and click adventure where you've got like a still background that scrolls, you know, with the character. There's 3D in that game before 3D acceleration was a thing, right? So there's a lot of work behind the scenes, right, to get that game at the Night Dive level of quality. But rest assured, we're working on it, and I'm sure you'll hear more about it. You know, we usually tend to drop a trailer or, you know, send a news article out. But yeah, it's I love the game, man. I'm a huge fan of it. Like, as I've been actively working on the development of it, I've been playing the game and really appreciating.
I'm so jealous.
I bought a big box PC copy of it as well, for multiple reasons, just to compare notes, right? But also because it's just an awesome game as well. So yeah, stay tuned, more to come. can't really say anything more than that, but it's definitely in the works.
You ticked all my boxes in terms of an answer. Like, I actually grabbed it and because I've got the box copy, but I haven't got a CD drive, so I grabbed DOSBox and stuck it through that. And man, it's just so unique from the fact that it's a point and click, but it's so unique and the art style is so great.
Yeah.
Even now, like I mean, I can't wait to see what the Night Dive version looks like, because even now I'm like, this still looks beautiful. Like you say, it's got real good lighting. The mystery is really good. The way the plot and different things can actually happen depending upon some of the choices you make. Like, and this is back in the 90s. Oh, it is a classic, stone cold classic. And I cannot, as soon as I saw that you guys were the team making it, I was like, there is a God. Like I thought this game was lost forever. Is it, am I right? Is it just a PC release? Is there plan to bring it to consoles? Because obviously there's some real twitchy point and click going on throughout.
We haven't committed to anything, but we like to release on everything as much as we can. So again, no, we haven't committed to anything yet. But Night Dive, we try to bring it out for as many systems as we can. Awesome. So I don't necessarily think this will be any different. So
I'm excited.
Again, stay tuned.
Thank you for the very in-depth answer that didn't dodge too much.
For sure.
Okay, I will stop hijacking community questions now. I've been satiated.
No, that's okay.
I'll pass it over to you, Nick.
Okay, community questions, eh? All right. First one, Doncabesa. Hello, John, MVG, and Mr. LaBeouf. Have you heard that XboxEra is now streaming on Twitch, and we have our Twitch twitch.tv/the XboxEra. Anyways, I digress. Since we all know that the best non-Xbox console ever made is the Sega Dreamcast, yes, that's correct. What are your personal top 3 Dreamcast games? Mine would be Typing of the Dead, Soul Calibur, and NBA 2K1. But my God, is it hard to choose? Yes, it is very hard to choose. Dreamcast is the greatest console ever made. Don't worry about non-Xbox. It's just the greatest console ever made.
Soul Calibur, Power Stone, and Skies of Arcadia.
Skies of Arcadia.
But that could change next week. But that's
yeah, I know. It's one of the only Japanese RPGs I enjoyed. Skies of Arcadia. Did you like Record of Lodoss War?
I never really got into it as much as I thought I would. I remember getting a hype for that game, and I picked it up. I still have my copy of it. Which,
so do
by
I.
the way, they're very expensive now. I didn't really get into it as much as I thought, but I still liked the game. I liked it.
Yeah. Good Diablo clone, that one.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. My 3 favorite Dreamcast games. Wow, that is super tough. Jeez. Soul Calibur is probably one. Power Stone could be another one. I love Power Stone, and I bought it on PSP as well, the Power Stone collection. What would another one be? I want to say maybe Daytona USA 2001 or God, I was not a big Shenmue fan. I know everyone loves that game, but I just, for whatever reason, couldn't get all. I just remember I've still got my copy of it, mind you, on Dreamcast. Yeah. That's also worth a fortune. Shenmue on Dreamcast. I started it. I started playing it, and like every 2 minutes, it was like he'd talk to an NPC or someone, and he'd be like, "I see," and that's all he'd say. And like all you'd hear is "I see" 40,000 times. And I'm just like, I just can't get into this game.
Is now a good time to mention I've never owned nor played on a Dreamcast?
Oh, man. I'm
sorry. I'm an Amiga kid. Like that was my route into gaming. I just I didn't get much until I skipped Sega completely.
Dreamcast was 99.
Yeah,
I'm an Amiga kid, and I went to the Dreamcast.
What can I say? I think I had an Amiga, then an N64, then a.
You're younger than both of us.
Yeah, I know. What can I say?
Not an excuse.
I feel like I've missed out on a whole plethora of awesome little video games, but yeah, it's just the way it is. I did see that they announced the Amiga Mini Amiga's,
Yeah, the mini. Yeah,
I'm really tempted.
Yeah,
like
I
really
might get
tempted. Bit of nostalgia.
Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
of course.
That's like,
Come
on.
Dreamcast fans, everybody. Here they are.
Oh man, it's it's hard. Like I need to go. Like I've got like 30, 35 games in there in that cupboard back there. I'd have to have a look at them all. But yeah, I mean, Virtua Tennis. God, I love Virtua Tennis. That's just. I still remember. I went to. Now I'm trying to think. Yes, Dim would have been in Melbourne at the time. So back when Crown opened, back in '97.
Yeah, of course.
And do you remember the arcade they had at Crown? What was it called?
Yeah, Barcode.
Barcode. Yes, Barcode.
Dude.
Oh,
I used to frequent Barcode every Friday night. Put down $50 in my little Barcode card, go crazy, and I usually come home pretty inebriated. It was a good time, man. It was a lot of fun. And they always used to bring in, new arcade games like every week. So there was always something really great that came from the US. So I loved that place. That place was awesome.
And I remember that's where I first played Virtua Tennis, and they had like Mark Philippoussis signed the arcade machine because he was in the game, and oh man, I was so in love with Virtua Tennis. Even now, like I don't know if you've played it recently, but that game, even as a tennis game, still holds up.
Absolutely.
Virtua Tennis.
Yeah, the control system, the mechanics just feel really good. Virtua Tennis is one of those games I can just keep playing.
Yep.
I think the only thing that dates the game is just the players, right?
Yeah, that's right.
They're obviously none of them play tennis anymore, but back in, like you said, back in those days, they were all superstars.
Yeah. I think Virtua Tennis 2 may still have a couple of modern players through sheer virtue of the fact that Federer and Nadal are still around and stuff.
That's crazy to think about, but you're right.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But man, I've said this before. I would love. I have no idea. You may have slightly more of an idea than me because of your dealings with Microsoft, with all these sorts of companies. I'd give anything for Microsoft and Sega to work out some way to allow for Virtua Tennis 3 to go backwards compatible. I don't know the machinations. I don't know what the licensing hell would be to be able to have that game go backwards compatible, even on a temporary basis. But man, if they can find a way to have Virtua Tennis 3 go backwards compatible, X enhanced, so you've got this 1080 or 4K 120 FPS tennis game on Series X, but a good one. Oh, it's so good. I would love that. Tennis.
But I think about how that would happen from a licensing perspective. So all the advertisements on all the on all the side panels, right?
Yeah.
In the stadium, and all the players like that literally have to. I know. It's like a minefield of licensing they would have to navigate to get there. They could do it, but I don't know, man. Seems really out of control.
But they'd also have an exclusive tennis game, which is arguably the best one going around.
True. Well, did you guys play Topspin on the Xbox?
Yeah,
I like Topspin a lot.
That was good. That was good too.
Wasn't Virtua Tennis, but I like that series pretty good. I thought it.
Yeah.
It was
I know my brother. My brother says hi, by the way, Dim.
Hello, Nick's brother.
he said, tell him VG I said hello. So I'm saying hello.
I think he asked as well. It's Chris, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Chris. Yeah.
He asked, ask MVG if he has plans to order a Sinden light gun.
Yes.
I think they've reached out to me and asked me to take a look at one. I may take a look at it on the channel. Right now, I'm so busy. Like I'm kind of turning away products to review because I literally don't have the time to do it. So I'm kind of just telling people thank you, but no thank you. But that light gun does look interesting. That light gun does look interesting. I wouldn't mind checking it out because I heard it works pretty good on modern display. So
a friend of mine's just got two. I think he's building some sort of Raspberry Pi. Emulator box, but I've thought about doing the same. I'm finally building out my new home office, and oh man, there'd be just enough room to squeeze in a cool little arcade cabinet and light gun games. Some of my favorite games of yesteryear that aren't around anymore, apart from in arcades. that I'd love to try out again. I was almost going to go while you guys were talking Dreamcast and say something like "Hello and welcome to the Dreamcast era podcast."
I could.
You guys were lost in hazy memories of yesteryear.
I was 19 when the Dreamcast came out, and I still remember everything so vividly. Like, I remember going to the EB Games preview night where they had Dreamcast set up at Northland EB. And, you know, I remember seeing Sonic Adventure for the first time, and you see the Orca. Like, if you're old enough, who doesn't remember the Orca run in Sonic Adventure and the first time they saw that? It was just like the most unbelievable thing. And House of the Dead and the light guns, and oh my God, it was just amazing. Somnia with a $10 super chat. Soul Calibur, Crazy Taxi, and Marvel vs. Capcom 2 for me. I miss that system so much. God, Crazy Taxi.
Good game.
Yeah. Best.
Careful. Get that yellow dollar.
Oh, yeah, mate. That's right. They'll ding us. Yeah, crazy. Oh, yeah. How can I forget Crazy Taxi? Crazy Taxi was amazing, and I'm just annoyed that there's a lot of light gun games that were modeled to, I want to say. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dim. I'm devastated that we never got the Lost World ported to Dreamcast.
Right.
Like, probably the best, for me anyway, the best light gun shooter I've ever played. Have you played it, John? The Lost World Jurassic Park, the light gun shooter from the arcades?
I may have. I can't recall it specifically, so I'm gonna lean towards no, but I can't remember, man.
It's that light gun game actually followed the plot of the book better than the movie did.
Wow.
Like, it was and I've read all about how closely they worked with them, and you know, there's, for anyone who's read the book, and yes, Jesse, if you're watching, Lost World Jurassic Park was the last book I read back in '97.
Wow.
That's a terrible admission to make. I don't read books anymore.
Oh, man.
But there was this dinosaur in that book where it camouflages, like it can effectively turn invisible. And I thought, how amazing would that have been to have had that in the movie, like especially with special effects at the time. But that dinosaur is in the game. So cool. They put it in the game, but it's not in the movie. And it's this like you're playing, it's a light gun game, and all of a sudden this dinosaur's like out of nowhere, you just see it fade into view, and it's just charging at you. And you've got to, obviously being a light gun game, hit all the specific spots to knock it back. It's just,
Do you know what my favourite?
We never got a Dreamcast port.
My favourite light gun game is, and it's not the best light gun game, but just from a nostalgia point of view, the one that I absolutely loved was the Die Hard game.
Oh man,
on PlayStation. The Die Hard 2, I think, was the light gun one. So you had, I think you were like a third-person action adventure for Die Hard 1. You had like a Crazy Taxi scenario for Die Hard 3, but Die Hard 2 in that collection was a light gun game, and I remember it being freaking awesome. Like, I absolutely loved it and played it to death. I'd love to play that again. Just dip back in. Never played it?
No. I only played Die Hard Arcade, which was by Sega as well.
So there's two, right? There's Die Hard Arcade, and then there's the Die Hard Trilogy, which is what John's talking about.
Yes.
Came out for the PlayStation. There's 3 different games on there, and one of them is a light gun game. It's a lot of fun.
Okay.
Yeah. It was really good. I have very fond memories about it.
You couldn't beat Sega, though, for light gun games.
No, they were untouchable. Untouchable.
Faisal. No. All right, we've got guests, okay?
So, Faisal in the Super Chat has asked, if the Friends cast were Dreamcast fans, what would their favourite games be? Do you like Friends, Dim? Tell me you like Friends.
No, I never liked that show.
No.
That show sucks.
Oh, no.
Did I say something, bro?
Me and John absolutely adore Friends.
Oh, no.
We're like obsessed with it.
Is this the part where we wrap up the show?
Oh, God. Faisal is in trouble. I'm going to ban him from the chat forever.
I gotta say, I've been to New York a few times, and you do those bus tours around, right? And like, they're like, and now we're driving past the friend's house. I'm like, whatever, I don't give a fuck. Let's move on.
Yeah. So to give you some context, there was this one random podcast where our community questions just went on forever. It was just me and Nick, and we were just chatting away, and somehow I think someone said something about pivoting, and he started going pivot, and then he was like, "Are you a Friends fan?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm a massive Friends fan. Like, I've watched," and then we just went on this massive segue, and now our community will not let it go. Like they just get any opportunity to squeeze Friends references because they know while I can resist going down that path, this guy can't.
Someone, Phalaxis said, and that's the last time MVG is on the podcast.
No way. MVG can be on as much. He can be on every week if he wants to.
Oh,
well,
God.
I'll get me back on for the Christmas episode. I'll wear that.
Oh yeah, that Xbox Christmas jumper, the ugly sweater that you've got.
Yeah, I need to get myself a happy Halo.
I'm saving that one up for you guys.
Good. I love that jumper.
Yeah.
Cerys has a super chat as well. I was 21 and bought the Dreamcast day one from the Virgin Megastore in Reading, along with 3 extra controllers. Best console ever. Also, that Cerys is gorgeous. Yeah, I remember mine.
I don't know how old I was. I was definitely older than you and Nick. But I was working at the time in the CBD, and I don't remember which job I had. I had many jobs working in the CBD, but I remember the day that the Dreamcast came out. I went to. It was actually at Target. They have a Target in Melbourne. The one I think it's So that one's still there. So I went to Target. I must have pre-ordered it because I remember getting the system and House of the Dead, I want to say. And man, I was just in heaven. Like, remember you were talking about taking a day off work the next day to play video games. That was definitely one of those.
That was one of those days.
Because that's the thing. Like, for me, everyone who watches this podcast knows I grew up as a Sega fanboy who was living in the arcades forever. So the Dreamcast was like the ultimate console for anyone who grew up in the arcades because it was the first time we were getting, or maybe not the first time, the Saturn had a few, but the Dreamcast was the first time we were getting true, proper arcade perfect ports at home. It's like you had your own, again, the Neo Geo is an exception to that rule, but no one in Australia had a Neo Geo because they cost $11 billion here. So no one ever had. Oh my God, they were so expensive. I had one guy at high school that had a Neo Geo, and everyone freaked out about it because it was like, I think it was over 1,000 Australian dollars back in the late 90s, which is a lot of money. Like, I mean, even the Saturn was $900. Back when it came out.
Very expensive. Very expensive.
And, man.
I was the same, and that's one of the reasons why I gravitated towards the original Xbox because not only did it have that link with the Dreamcast, those original OG Xbox games, House of the Dead 3, Crazy Taxi, High Roller, Panzer Dragoon, Orta, all those Sega games because they had that exclusive agreement with Sega. In many ways, it felt like the successor to the Dreamcast, and that's why I kind of gravitated towards that system. So, John, check out the Dreamcast.
I will check out the Dreamcast. I'll see if I can.
Like it was the predecessor. It was pioneering online gaming. It it even had. I'd even argue it wasn't the first, but it sort of was the one that pushed motion gaming and that sort of stuff the most. Like they had the Samba de Amigo maracas, and they had the fishing rod for Sega Bass Fishing, which I also have. They had. My Dreamcast collection is off the charts. Like the only thing I've even got the Dream Eye camera, which I think only works with Japanese Dreamcast. The only thing I didn't manage to get a hold of was Seaman, with the microphone and the quirky fish with the human head that would swim around and you could talk to it through the mic. And it was just...
Sounds riveting.
Yeah.
I've got... I've got the mouse and the keyboard and the broadband adapter, and I don't do this very often, but sometimes I'll hook it all up and play Quake 3, and there's still a community. There's still a community of people playing Quake 3 online on the Dreamcast.
Wow!
It's not big, but there's still active servers up and running.
I love that.
It's pretty awesome.
That's incredible. That is incredible.
That's unreal.
Oh
wow!
I
missed the Dreamcast.
Somnia with another super chat. Am I the only one who put thousands of hours into Phantasy Star Online on Dreamcast?
I played it a little bit.
Yeah, same. I played it. I don't want to say I put thousands of hours into it, but I definitely put a lot of time into it. I liked it a lot. Good game.
Yeah, just the Dreamcast was just if Sega could do a Dreamcast Mini, Oh man.
It would sell gangbusters, right? Let's hope they do. I can try
I think
it out.
so. I think so.
The only thing, one of the biggest things that held it back, aside from not having a DVD player, was that the controller needed that second analog stick. If it had, oh man, some of those games become tough to play now because of the lack of second analog. But
never mind.
What are you going to do?
Now, that was one question. And one hell of that was one hell of a time.
Right.
It's worth mentioning, as per the other part of Don's question, which I sense he knew would go this way. So I'll have a word with him offline. Do please check us out on Twitch. The team are regularly doing a lot of our live streams there. So Twitch TV/the XboxEra. Link is in the chat. Go and follow us and whatever and do all those fun things. But yeah, there you go. What's the next question? Please don't be about the Dreamcast
VRG.
or friends.
Hey fellas, what are your habits regarding caffeine consumption? Do you have a healthy relationship with caffeine and soft drinks? Personally, I quit caffeine recently after consuming way too much during grad school. On a lighter note, how do you take your coffee or tea? I'm big on coffee. I have at least 3 a day. I'm going to have one after this podcast is finished. I'm going to go for a drive and put my mask on and go grab a coffee from a cafe around the corner. I love my coffee.
I love my coffee, but I have a pretty good relationship with it. So I only drink coffee before midday. It's very, very rare if I have one after midday for me.
Really?
Yep, very rare. I switch to tea after lunchtime. But
Okay.
I use an Italian mocha to make my own coffee at home, which is kind of like a little stove teapot.
It's just a hot chocolate.
No.
Oh, okay, sorry. When you said mocha, I thought you meant as
I know.
in...
So this is where a lot of confusion goes, because people look at me and are like, what? So it's not chocolate coffee. That's just a bullshit term, apparently, that was invented.
It's a hot chocolate.
Yeah, no. So a mocha, MOKKA, it's like a little kettle, and you put your water in, you put the filter thing on top, you put all your coffee grounds in, you do it up, you put it on your stove, you boil it slowly. Pushes all the steam through the coffee, gives you this beautiful flavour. I've got a little 2-shot mocha. Pour all that in a mug. A couple of sugars, bit of milk. Pro tip, if you ever want to use one, you can get them on Amazon and stuff. You can get induction ones and electric hob ones and all that sort of thing. If you've never tried mocha coffee with evaporated milk, it is freaking incredible. It's really, really sweet. So don't put your sugar in if you're going to use evap. But it's very, very nice, and especially great if you save one of your shots and do it over some ice cubes and get all the evap in. It's iced coffee is beautiful. But yeah, that's my only coffee consumption. Otherwise, it's tea.
You must smash coffee, surely.
Yeah, as a Melbourne born and raised person, I love my coffee. I miss Melbourne coffee more than anything.
Yeah.
Nick, you'll understand, but I have decent substitutes. Let's put it that way. I'm not saying the coffee compares to Melbourne coffee because it's some of the best in the world, probably the best in the world. But I usually do 3 to 4 cups a day. I have a coffee machine, which again, it's pretty good. It's not the best, but gets the job done. And espresso? I will say this, espresso, Vittoria and all that stuff, right? But for me, coffee doesn't affect me at all. Like I can literally have one at 11 o'clock at night, and I'm asleep at 11:15. It does nothing for me. I just love coffee, and I always have. I've tried to quit it. I don't want to say quit it, but kind of reduce my intake, and I just get those caffeine headaches. And I'm like, no, my body is not agreeing with me, so I'm just going to continue drinking it. Now I've cut down on soft drinks and sodas and stuff.
Yeah, I don't drink any.
But for this, coffee is something I'll continue to drink. I think for the rest of my life. Honestly, I love it. Yeah. I just love it too much.
If I forget to have a coffee, my body's just like, "Oi, Malaka, what are you doing?" And just like hits me with this massive headache. The caffeine withdrawal headache, and then I just have to quickly have one. Man.
There's nothing worse than those behind the eyeball migraines you get from not having caffeine. I can't deal with it.
It's funny.
I literally can't deal with it.
I love my morning coffee so much. I've actually built an Alexa routine that says, if I say good morning, Alexa, because normally my kids are up when I'm making my coffee, my wife's usually asleep, and Alexa will actually say, good morning, John. Whilst you're making your coffee, here's the news of the day. Oh, and kids, be quiet while your dad's making his coffee, just as a reminder. And they know, like, do not talk to or engage with this parent until coffee has been made and is being sipped. I can't do without my morning coffee, like, at all. But yeah,
it's just a thing now. Like, it's almost, it's a social thing. It's like, I know, Dim, in the US, there's a lot of there's actually a few AFL players that are opening up Melbourne cafes in the US.
Yeah.
I know
this. Yep.
Yeah, Joe Watson did. I don't know if he did it in New York or somewhere, but Joe Watson opened up a Melbourne cafe, and apparently he's like smashing it. Like, they're just doing so well over there because our coffee culture is the best. It's funny, John, someone tried to link me to this story where it ranked all the best coffee cities in the world. It was like, apparently London was number one, so they were giving me shit saying, haha, London's number one, Melbourne's number two. But then when you read the article about London and why it's number one, it says because all these Australians have set up cafes in London. So it's like, so Melbourne is number one then, if that's the case.
There are some great coffee places in London, but I'm sorry, it's still Nero's, Costa's and Starbucks as far as the eye can see. And since I've got my mocha, I can't drink that swill anymore. Like, I can't touch it. Like, it's just unpleasant. Like, it's like ordering steak at a restaurant when I know I can cook it better at home. Like, I'm just like, it is what it is. But yeah, I'll have to try some of this famous Melbourne coffee.
There was a on the most recent Nintendo Indie Direct, there was a game that was based around the Melbourne coffee culture. I don't remember the name of the game.
Really?
You probably know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I have to find out what it was called, but the game itself is literally based around Melbourne coffee culture, and it was developed by Australians. So I mean, that alone tells you how popular it is.
Necro Barista.
Not just that.
Yep,
Sorry?
that's the one.
That's the one. Necro Barista. Wow. In a back alley cafe, the dead are granted one last night to mingle with the living. Necro Barista follows a dynamic and diverse cast of characters as they navigate Melbourne's hipstery coffee culture, the questionable ethics of necromancy, and the process of letting go.
I like that it was hipster, because it isn't like, it's such a fine art here. Like, as an example of why Melbourne is the best coffee city in the world, McDonald's, and I know people are going to groan, McCafe, which is now worldwide, was born here. McCafe started in, I think, Melbourne, and is now at Macca's all over the world. Like, Melbourne and coffee is like, it's synonymous. It's just, it's the best. And like Dim, I have a coffee most nights before I go to bed, and it doesn't keep me up. It doesn't
puts me to sleep.
It actually helps me relax. Like, it's
same.
It's I don't know. It's
so
just...
I guess to answer VRG's question, they have a pretty unhealthy relationship with caffeine.
We're from Melbourne, man. Like, of course we're gonna smash coffee. Faisal with another super chat. Excellent show as always, boys. Love when MVG's on. We love when MVG's on too. If I could force Dim to be on every week, I would. And I'm trying to force him to come to Australia, and the government won't let him.
Not allowed.
Talk to your prime minister. I'm trying to get back down there. I will as soon as I can, but it's just.
I know.
It's impossible right now.
And we're probably going to have like 73 coffees. like we'll be in Oakley having us of like him, but there'll be like so many coffees lined up.
Dude, you have to get a selfie, and the pupils of your eyes are just like wide.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I could probably put away 3 or 4 in a row without feeling it, and then maybe after the 4th, I'm like, I think we're good. Yeah.
Whenever I go out for breakfast, that's like the place I go to, the cafe I go to for breakfast normally. As soon as I sit down, they've started to recognize us now. So they're like, yeah, you want a coffee to start off with? Yeah, bring on the coffee. Breakfast comes out, then another coffee straight after I eat. It's just, Ah, man. I can't get enough of it. And my body won't let me stop. Because if I try, it warns me and says, no, get a coffee in or I'm going to demolish your brain. But yeah. Okay, so everyone can see what time it is now.
It's Cerys time.
Yeah, in getting carried away talking about coffee, I forgot to put the robe on.
You weren't ready.
I was not prepared.
We're never ready. We're never ready for this.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, Cerys had a week off last week. There was no Cerys question last week.
Because I wasn't there. It's
fine.
So,
it was like a week off, I guess you could say. Okay. Cerys, hello little ones and hello MVG. Poor Nick, he must think I hate him, ignoring community questions last week. We were busy with friends playing board games and cooking a ton of food. So perhaps you're wondering why I have gathered you all today. Well, the board are happy with your success thus far. However, we feel you could do more. More reaction videos we feel would help, as would video thumbnails with gurning shocked faces. Key to this would be to insert some red circles and arrows willy-nilly. If you could title some content with some needlessly baity headline too, that gets them clicks. Does each console sold kill one kitten, for example? Also, the board are consistently disgusted that none of you insist on wearing beanies, regardless of the time or temperature, and where, for the love of God, are your gaming chairs? I mean, sort yourselves out, or there will be P45s going out. The guest article about Viva Pinata, though, that was awesome. That author, she sounds nice. Buy her some flowers. No. Actually, yeah, John, you buy the flowers. Use all that Patreon
I'm closer
money
to Germany.
Some flowers.
I'm closer to Germany.
That's right. That's exactly right. Okay, sorry, question time. You know what? Actually, while we're talking about that, I noticed MVG, Dim is like us. He doesn't put all the weird thumbnails on his videos and all the whatever. It's all just, you know.
I try not to. Like, yeah. I mean, look, I've done some clickbaity titles before. I mean, I think everyone does, right? But usually I just kind of keep the thumbnails pretty basic. And I have a certain style, and I just kind of stick to it. Like, I don't have to sit there with my mouth open, you know, excited about something. I mean, it works for some people, and I respect the hustle. But for me, it's not my style.
That's the phrase, right? Yeah. Is at the end of the day, this is a game. Like it is a job for those that have the ability to do it as a job, and you got to do what you got to do to get paid. And respect the hustle. I think that's a fair.
You know what makes me laugh though? I suspect I know what Dim's talking about when he talks about the clickbaity titles. I think. And if it's the ones I think they are, they're Melburnian phrases that most people wouldn't know anyway. Like, every time I see it, it actually makes me laugh. Like, when he says how the security on this console was defeated, and I'm like, that's such a Melbourne thing to say.
It's a football comment, right? It's a football
It's such a Melbourne thing to say. I'm like, I don't even know if that's really clickbaity because most people don't get the Melburnianism anyway. I reckon it's a classic.
I don't know if that's a word.
Yeah, I know. That's right. That's a Melburnianism too. Okay, so there's still more to this. Okay, sorry, question time. Can you all give me one reason why an Amiga 1200 would be an amazing buy and one reason why it would be stupid? Also, as an aside, do you ever get that thing when you see someone waving and you don't know if they are waving to you or not? Happened to me the other day. In other news, I lost my job as a lifeguard. Cerys. Sorry about your job as a lifeguard. That's not good.
Well, I can answer the Amiga question as someone who does own an Amiga 1200.
Oh, you still have one?
Oh, absolutely.
Is it your
what was your
original one?
favorite Amiga game?
Oh, man.
This is a tough one,
That's
right?
a tough question, man. Because I like the point and click adventures, you know, the Monkey Islands and all that stuff. But man,
was Salamander on Amiga 1200?
No, I don't think so.
Or was that Commodore 64 only?
It was on the C64. But okay. John, one game that I guess for me stands out. There's probably two games that. Okay, there's three games that are probably my favorite Amiga games, and I can't distinguish between the three. Speedball 2.
Good choice.
Lemmings.
Yes.
And Another World.
Yeah, Another World.
Another World.
Hands down.
Matova.
Yep.
I love that.
I love those games, man. But as far as to answer the A1200 question, the reason why the A1200 is the Amiga to get is because of its versatility. You can play the old games, you can play the AGA chipset games, and you can also stick a network card into the PC MCIA port and get that thing online and mess around with it. I know it's completely absurd to even talk about doing that, but why not? You can run a web browser, you can jump on chat protocols, you can do all sorts of cool stuff. So I love the versatility of the A1200. It's a fun machine. It's very light, it's compact, and it's my favorite Amiga.
Yeah,
sure.
It's a good one. Like I remember, like, man, Worms Director's Cut. Do you remember that? 97.
Yeah. Very good game.
I fondly remember, like, Simon the Sorcerer for me was absolute classic. I talked about it the other day. I don't know if you've played 12 Minutes yet. If you like point and click games,
I'm going to check it out. It's on the list after Psychonauts. I did download it from Game Pass. I want to take a look at it. I heard mixed, good and bad, but I want to check it out for myself.
I mean, as a point and click, that was my bread and butter growing up. Point and click games. I really enjoyed it. I think the thing that will frustrate people is you're in a time loop, and it turns out repeating a time loop isn't fun. You know, that's why they have that montage where people try and kill themselves because it gets frustrating. But equally, I think the biggest controversy is some of the plot elements that I won't spoil. Be very keen to hear what you thought about it if you do get a chance to play it. But yeah, it was nice to play a point and click game again in 2021. But yeah, man, Amiga, what a console. What a games thing. I don't know. Is it a console? Is it like a weird PC?
It was, I guess.
It's a computer. Yeah.
It was the earliest gaming PC, effectively.
Yeah. That's awesome. Good times. To talk about very briefly before we move on from Cerys' question, the Viva Pinata reference, if you're watching and you don't know, we recently launched Community Corner, which is where we know we've got great community that want to put their thoughts out, and they often write great threads in our forums. But if you want to do a little bit more than that and you think you've got something worthwhile to say, check out the Community Corner thread. You can post your article, what you want to say, and we're picking the best ones to be posted on the website for everyone to read as opposed to going into the forum. So we'll actually push it out there. But Cerys got first dibs with a wonderful Viva Pinata Trouble in Paradise post-mortem and look back at what an excellent game that was and still is. And it's a shame that IP is seemingly dead. But yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
Monte Carlo Super Chat. Just here to spread some love. Great show, guys. True or not, chat? 100%. 100%. 100%.
There's some Rocket League memery going on here. It's just you just got to learn to ignore it, Tim. It's nothing worth.
I was just playing Rocket League.
That just went over my head anyway. I don't know what's going on there.
100%. Okay. DirtyFlint. Hello, you beautiful lads. Oh, actually, no, sorry.
Yeah, I was
almost
correct.
Beast Mode. Beast Mode 10. Hi, John, Nick, MVG. These are two questions for MVG. But first, congratulations on the Quake project. That must have been one hell of a secret to keep. Now, to the questions. How did MVG get into game dev? And what area of game dev is MVG into? Engine development, combat engineer, gameplay, loop logic, AI, performance, etc. I am not aware of the various roles on the technical side of game dev, so this would be quite educational. Any idea who wrote the mythical fast inverse square root code in Quake 3? Was it Abrash or Carmack? And has MVG seen that code now that he has ported Quake 3 as well? That kind of attention to detail for performance is mind-blowing. Cheers.
To answer.
Oh, have we lost MVG?
Oh, we might. No, he's back.
Oh, he's back. Oh, he had a little blip. It's okay.
Oh, I was going to say, I don't know if it was Abrash or Carmack that did the inverse square thing. So I'm not really sure which one it was. If I was to say, it was probably Abrash because he was a genius. But I mean, Carmack is obviously a genius as well. Mm-hmm. So not really sure. In fact, I'd be interested to find out who actually is responsible for that code. The first part of that question, how did I get into game dev? Basically, the long story short is I was discovered after people were watching my YouTube videos for many, many years. Specifically, a video that I made on Diablo running on the Switch, because one day I decided just to port Diablo to the Switch in a homebrew capacity, and that got me recognized. And people in the industry, or people from Night Dive, asked, would you be interested in porting stuff for us? And I said, absolutely, I would. And that's kind of where it all started. So yeah, as far as my role as a developer, what I do, I would say I'm a general purpose all-rounder. Let's put it that way. So what I'm really good at is I'm good at porting. And that's one of the reasons why they brought me onto the team. So I know enough about a lot of different facets of different systems in game dev, but I'm really an expert on any of them. But what I am good at is I have a lot of experience, and I'm really good at, like I said, porting code. So my role in the Quake project, I mean, there was a lot of things that I did, but mostly my role was getting the PlayStation versions up and running. So, we've got the code running on the PC. Now here's the PS4 and the PS5. Go get this game running. That's, I don't want to say that was 100% of my job, but it was a pretty large percentage of what I did on that project. So yeah, my role really is just a specialist. A general purpose all-rounder with, no real speciality. So hopefully that answers the questions there. And good questions, by the way.
Yeah, I have to ask, really though, good. I don't know what the fast inverse square root code is. Sorry, for my ignorance, could you elaborate on what that actually does? I presume it's performance related.
Yeah, it is. It's an optimization trick that they use to do square root calculations. So there's certain math when we're talking about PCs going back to those days, right? Optimization was so important, a lot more important than it is today. I mean, even now when you see games running, they don't run at 60. It's because of optimization issues. But back in those days, I mean, we were talking about Quake 3 was what, Pentium 3s at the time, maybe, and
like that.
And Voodoo 3 cards potentially. So getting fast performance is paramount, right? So they came up with this way to do square root calculations that didn't involve actually using the standard square root function that you would normally call when you're writing code, because the way that they figured out was they could make this run a lot faster. And square root, that math call gets called a lot in games like Quake that's obviously has a lot of heavy 3D use. So there's actually a video on the whole inverse square root thing on YouTube, and it's fascinating.
It's fascinating
because you look at it and you're like, how did they come up with this piece of code? It doesn't make any sense, but they actually break down exactly what they were doing. And I don't want to say an average person can watch this video and understand it, but if you follow along, you'll kind of get an idea of what they did, and it's really, really awesome.
Cool. I'll check that out. Thank you for the tip.
That's gross. Okay, now DirtyFlint. Hello, you beautiful lads. People are always asking what everyone's favorite console was, but I want to know what your favorite console special edition was. Ooh. I was always a fan of the Hey You Pikachu Nintendo 64. That yellow boy will always look good. Can't wait to hear the answers. As someone who has collected many limited edition consoles over the years, I like this question. Favorite though, man, that's hard. I've got the Pokemon Nintendo 64, the half blue, half yellow one. I still have it boxed. Still has the VHS tape in it of the Pikachu movie. I just sold all my Halo limited edition consoles. I had all of them. The OG Xbox, that translucent green OG Xbox, the Halo 3 360, Halo 4 360. I've got the Reach one because that one's just gorgeous to look at. I had the Star Wars 360. Do any of you remember that? The R2-D2.
Yeah, I have it. I have it.
Oh, you've still got it?
Yep, in the box. In the box.
I had it and I sold it. I made some money on it. I ended up selling it. I got my brother the Batman PlayStation 4, which was actually a really nice looking console, that all silver one. God, there's been so many over the years. I had... what else? I had the God of War PlayStation Portable, which never came out in Australia. I had to import it from the US. Simpsons, the yellow Simpsons PSP. There's been, there's
I've got three.
been some great ones.
I've got three.
Okay.
The first one is the original Xbox White Panzer Dragoon Orta. I don't know if you guys have seen that. It was Japanese only.
Yes.
And it's like 1,000 ever made, and I lust for this system. Like, and the thing that sucks is back in the day, I had an opportunity to get one, and I was like, I don't want this. And now I'm just like, the second one would be the red Resident Evil Xbox 360s. There's something about that system that
had that one.
I love it. I love it with the red controller and the red faceplate and everything.
Yes.
The third one is probably one that I don't know if you guys would agree on, but the Crimson Metal Gear Solid 5 PS4 that only came out in PAL regions. And we couldn't get it here in the US, and I actually ordered one from EB Games, sent it to my brother's house, and he shipped it over to me. That's how desperate I was to get this. And I have it,
that was
and
nice.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah. I missed out. So in 2018, I was in Greece for a holiday, and around that time, they announced the translucent dark blue 500 million PlayStation 4 Pro. And man, and we were in Glyfada in Athens, and there was a Sony shop there, like this giant, massive Sony store. So I ran in there to try and order one. I would have got it from Greece. I didn't care. Yeah. And I went in there, and he's like, man, we only had 3 of them allocated to us, and they're gone. And I was gutted I didn't get one of those. So I got the controller instead, because that was something I could get a hold of. But that was a really nice looking console as well.
Yep, absolutely.
It's weird. I'm not a big fan of a lot of the custom edition consoles, because often I think that they're really over the top and they don't gel well with entertainment units and systems. I can appreciate some of the more unique ones. Like I did get the red 360 console for Resident Evil. I loved the look of the Star Wars one, but I'd never have bought it because it was too much. But I think probably my favorite one that I thought was really, really good was the Minecraft Xbox One. I think that was just a really solid, great special edition. And it's a shame that they don't do more of that, especially with how small and cute and block-like Xbox Series X and S are. The X could be 2 different Minecraft blocks on top of each other and it would look perfect. But yeah, for me, I saw the new Halo Infinite Series X.
Got one.
I didn't think it was that good.
I'm just like,
neither did I.
It's not what I would have picked, and it's not something I want in my house. I like things simple and plain. Maybe I'm boring. I'll own a Volvo, a beige one.
No. It makes sense. We talked about it last week. The Series X itself is a minimalist design. So to me,
it's a blank slate.
Sorry if I'm repeating myself, but if your console is minimalist, then if you're going to do a limited edition version, you've got 2 choices. You either keep your design minimalist in line with the design of the console itself, or you go all out and go absolutely bonkers with it. And that Halo console's neither. It's like this weird in-between thing, and it just looks kind of odd.
Yeah, I wouldn't have picked it's like a Forerunner architecture motif.
But then the top half is the Starry Night, and it's like, why didn't you do the whole thing Starry Night and just have some trees lining the bottom like you're looking up at a Halo ring and put a Halo ring in the distance or something? It's just an odd design. I ordered one anyway. Worst case scenario, I'll flip it. Whatever.
Yeah. Oh, and good, big shout out to, I think it was I'm trying to remember which Zelda game it was. Nintendo 3DS. Was it Majora's Mask? Had the kind of the mask on the. It was like a deep gold color. It was really nice.
Oh, this thing?
Oh.
Well, there you go.
I'm surprised you're so up on digital, Nick. You seem to be a bit of a collector. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. Really nice.
Yeah.
Really nice.
I've bought every single Zelda portable console, but I've just recently sold most of them because I just don't have room in my house for all this stuff anymore. And in the end, it's like, who am I keeping it all for? I mean, I don't know. But I use this one, so I've kept it.
Fair enough. Yeah,
but I've
good
got
question.
a bunch, man. I've still got that Japanese 25th anniversary edition Mario Game Boy Micro. You could only get it in Japan, so I imported it through PlayAsia. Yeah, still sealed, never opened it.
I can't do that. I can't buy things I won't use. Like, if I'm buying something, it's to be played with. I can't just buy it to sit in a box. It's not my jam.
Yeah. Did you see that super chat?
Is it?
I don't think that's actually Jeff.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think that's Jeff. He says, "I love you, Nick, except no substitutes." I don't think that's Jeff.
I don't know. I think that's Jeff.
You know how I know? Because I've DM'd Jeff on Discord, and I said, "Are you in our chat?" He goes, "Nope."
Oh.
so it's
he's got a fake Jeff. Oh, now I'm sad.
But the funny thing is, like, he's come in our chat before, but like he doesn't troll or anything. He just just chats like knows? Jeff.
Who knows?
It's weird.
It is weird.
But yes, that was a good question. I like these questions today. They're good.
Yeah.
Okay. Somnia. Hello, fellas. I know this is an Xbox podcast, but with the upcoming Sony showcase, what game or announcement at their show would excite you?
More blockbuster games
adore
on
God
PC.
of War. Yeah, I adore God of War, so it's good that God of War is going to be there. I don't know, Dim, what would excite you?
I think God of War is a big one for me that I'd like to see more of. I want to see Gran Turismo 7. I don't think they're going to show anything of that game, but I want to see how that's evolving. Because I mean, I love Gran Turismo. It's an amazing game. So I'd be interested to see that, and maybe just a left field announcement of either some new IP or a game that we haven't even considered is coming. I'd be pretty happy with that. So I mean, for me, you know, give us something. But for God of War, if we get, I'll say, 5 minutes worth of a trailer / gameplay, I'd be pretty happy with that.
You know what I'd like? I want Maximo to come back.
I'd love Maximo to come back.
So, are you and I the only two people that love Maximo?
Maybe, but I have both of those games on the PS2.
So do I.
I think they're awesome. I'd love for them to come back.
Hey,
no idea what it is.
Maybe mention it to Steve. Mention it to Steve and get Night Dive to do Maximo.
I mean, we could, but Capcom still owns it, I'm sure. So it may be
good.
difficult.
All that game needs, though, is a modern right stick camera. That's it. That's all it needs.
Yeah, I was playing it actually fairly recently. I was playing it on my Series S when I did the PS2 emulation stuff. Yeah. And I was like, man, I love this game. Like, this game is a lot of fun.
It is. So, like, there's no games like that these days. Like, the closest thing is probably Ratchet and Clank, funnily enough.
Mm-hmm.
I know they're not the same. I'm just saying it's probably the closest thing we have to Maximo, kind of. But man, I really wish Capcom would do like a Maximo 3, even if they have to like test the waters with a Maximo 1 and 2 remastered. That's fine. I'm okay with that, and then go a full blown Maximo 3. That'd be so good. Hopefully we answered that question, Somnia. I'm not going to get Maximo, but I'd love it. DeoGame. Y'all see Shang-Chi? Great movie. What Marvel characters should Xbox use for their overdue Marvel game? Number one, there's not going to be an Xbox Marvel game. People need to let that go. It's not going to happen.
I see it.
Microsoft will focus on Lucasfilm IP. I think Sony will keep chasing Marvel, and Microsoft will probably keep chasing Lucasfilm.
Which I'm fine with.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's whatever. But you know what? Let's answer the question anyway. What Marvel character should Xbox use for their overdue Marvel game? Black Panther.
Incredible Hulk.
Do a Black Panther God of War clone, as in the hack and slash God of War. So Raven Software many, many years ago did an incredible God of War clone in Wolverine, X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Yeah, it was good.
I have that on 360. I still have the disc. That is such an underrated game. Like, it is probably the best God of War clone out there. I would love to see like a Black Panther hack and slash game in that vein. That's what I'd pick. But yeah.
Yeah, Incredible Hulk it's green. It fits. It's on brand.
Yeah.
Use some destruction of the cloud. Cloud power destruction. Sell some of that Crackdown power back in. just load a Crackdown map. Put a model of Hulk just destroying stuff. Boom, sell it. $70 done.
I love it. What would you pick?
I was going to say the Hulk as well, but I mean, John, okay. You've really thought this through a lot more than I have. I've always liked the Hulk, so that's what I would gravitate towards.
Yeah,
you could have.
I'd love an Iron Man game by BioWare. Like
what game?
I've always said that Iron Man by BioWare because if you've played Anthem, that is exactly how an Iron Man game should feel. The flying, the shooting, all of it. Like it's just. Again, it's just one of those things I don't think we'll get, unfortunately.
I reckon, right, if I'm taking my design document for the Hulk game from Xbox one step further, the level design should be these big open sandboxy playgrounds, right? But the level always starts with you trying to control your temper, and you just have like a bunch of really annoying things happen, and you've got like a meter, and you've got to try and keep it low, and that's the high score point. Is at what point do you just go mental and destroy your thing? And there's no objective other than that. That's it. And then you just destroy. That should be the game. Let me know when you want to get in touch, Marvel. We'll figure it out.
As to the first part of the question, I have not seen Shang-Chi because we're in lockdown in Melbourne, so we're not allowed to go to the cinemas. So
I have a cinema now. I'll wait until it releases in my cinema, and then I'll watch it there. I'm not going to go out anywhere and pay money to watch it. I'll wait for it to come to streaming. Watch it then.
Yep.
Sorry.
Okay. So, two more
Last
questions.
two.
So, next question. One only got added while we were doing the show, mind you. Okay. Good old Collingwood. Go Pies. Hello, John, Nick, and MVG. MVG doesn't go for Collingwood, and that's part of this question too. Hello, John, Nick, and MVG. John, I watched parts of your Gamescom opening night live stream. The parts where your cat was your avatar. Wasn't that Don's cat?
It's Don's cat. It wasn't my cat.
That was Jesse's cat.
It was because I had kids to look after and things, so I was a bit flaky, but I appeared for the meat and potatoes of that show. Looking very cool also.
One Bad Mother's cat is cute too. Please consider a pets only hosting podcast. We could. I mean, we've all got cats. I've got a cat.
I'm going to swear. I'm fucking angry at my cats at the moment. I've got 2 kittens. I've built a cat flap over the weekend with my mate. We put it through the wall. It's all ready to go. They're still in the house. They've been chipped. They've been opped. They're ready to go outside. And my wife won't let it happen because she wants to be here all day for when the doors are all opened to make sure they don't get lost. I'm just like, okay, fine. We'll
Cats
wait.
don't get lost. Cats don't get lost. That's the thing about cats.
But
they come back.
If you... I went to go to bed last night, right? I am really, really angry at all my family all the time because they don't close doors. And I'm like, close your doors unless you want the cats to find your mattress and do horrible cat things to it. So all kids, they've got it drummed into them now. Who's the one person that does not have it drummed into them yet? My wife.
Yep.
I go to bed last night. It's about 10 p.m. I'm tired. I've had 3 hours sleep. I literally pull back the cover and the duvet right on my side of the bed, right where I want to sleep, is just a pool of delightful kitten urine.
Oh,
and
no.
I don't know, like I'm one of those people that if like I came and arrived at my house and it was on fire, I'd be like, is everyone okay? And they'd all be, yeah. And I'd be okay. I'd be like, oh shit, this sucks. I wouldn't freak out. But if I tip over a glass of water, I explode in a rage.
Yeah, that sounds like me.
If there was a fly on the wall, you would have seen the kind of like the clenching of the fists and the silent, like I want to scream at the top of my lungs. I was so angry and I just want those cats outside. I love them still, but I also want to hurt them. So they're staying out of my way for the moment, lest I get cross. But I love cats, but not mine right now.
That's not even into the question. There's actually more to this question.
Sorry.
Nick. Now, I don't even know how to pronounce this word, and I've never even... I know what a cornucopia is, but I've never heard of this word. Nick, with your cornucopiac?
Yeah, go for it. That sounds right to me.
Knowledge of Friends... Would you consider hopping onto Tom Gleason's hard quiz with Friends being your special topic? Yes, I would. I will always do a Friends quiz. I'll appear on a Friends game show. Anything to do with Friends, I am there. And I'm going to make sure that I've got Dim on with me because I know he loves Friends so much.
Can we ban Friends questions from the community at this point?
I don't think it's going to end. MVG, congratulations on the successful relaunch of Quake. And because of that, being inadvertently dragged into the debate of Bethesda ZeniMax games being exclusive to Xbox. My question is, what is the craziest or strangest way you have seen retro gaming being portrayed? The most obvious one is Doom being played on a smart fridge. But given the ingenious imagination of many modders, you must have something that made you laugh. Also, being an expat Melburnian, who did you barrack for when you were a kid? My guess is that because you look like a little Bruce Dool, you supported Carlton.
That's a good question. No,
Dim goes for Hawthorn. Isn't it Hawthorn or Richmond?
I'm a Richmond supporter.
Richmond. Yes.
No, I was there. I wasn't there. I remember the 1980 grand final and then the long, yeah, man, and the long hiatus of premierships until we kind of came good in recent times. But no, Richmond supporter. Yeah, I love Richmond. I'm not a Carlton supporter. That's funny, though, that you mentioned Bruce Dool. As far as crazy ports on weird and wacky devices, the one that I can't get past is Doom on a pregnancy test. Have you seen that one? Pregnancy test Doom? I swear to God, there's a guy on Twitter. His name is Foon Turing. This guy he's awesome. He does all these weird and wacky tweets. He actually went out and bought a pregnancy test.
Yeah,
right. Must be one of the clear LCD blue on there, expensive ones.
And he got 1-bit Doom running on this thing, and it went viral. It was insane. So for me, you can't go past pregnancy test Doom.
God.
Crazy.
Wow,
has to be that.
Wow,
that's
incredible,
unbelievable.
I've got to look up that footage now.
I'm always interested to see what games people get running on TI-82 calculators. Some people have done.
I think that's what kickstarted this pregnancy test thing, because I think that's what he started doing, and then he was like, "I can take this further." I'll link you guys the article, but it was God, it was amazing.
On a pregnancy test, that's amazing. Okay, last question. Phalaxis, morning, gents. It's Father's Day in Australia today, so happy Father's Day to any dads out there. See, look at that. Look at John just takes weeks off the podcast just for like whatever. And here I am on Father's Day, still doing the podcast.
Mental health is important, my man. It's important.
That is next level commitment, being here on Father's Day. If your father was the main character in a video game, what would that game be about? For my dad, it would be a clay target shooting simulator. Keep up the awesome work, gents. P.S. I started watching Friends again and blame you guys. Almost up to season 5. Still as great as I remember. Got to get it finished before Seinfeld comes to Netflix in October. God, a game that my dad would be in. Wow. You know what? I'm actually really interested in what your dad's game would be, Dim.
Well, I mean, I was going to say something like Stardew Valley, right? Because you do like gardening and stuff. Like planting tomatoes or Animal Crossing might be something as well. Like something along those lines where there's like outdoor stuff. Because my dad, he loves being outside and he loves the garden and taking care of all that stuff. So he also used to be a beekeeper. So he used to have bees and he used to make honey. So anything along those lines, one of those heavy, busy work type of games where you make things, I think would be applicable for him.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good answer. John?
Well, I mentioned this Incredible Hulk game idea I had earlier, and I think it's a good fit for my old man. But when I actually think about a serious answer, he's out there, Buster Blood Vessel. That's his gamer name, Buster Blood Vessel. He grinds Elite Dangerous like I've never seen anyone do. Billions and billions of in-game credits of revenue. He was like a gold farmer for me. He would just come into the game and just jettison loads of cool stuff so I could level up a bit quicker and buy bigger ships. That's the kind of thing he would like doing. He doesn't do any of the combat. He's my reactions aren't with it. He just does the back and forth, everything on autopilot. I've tried to get him into flight sim, like figuring that would be a type of game that he would excel at, just the back and forth, but he's just not much of a gamer. But that Elite Dangerous is probably his one. That's the thing he would fit in, I think.
My dad wasn't a gamer as much as I tried. He didn't mind Guitar Hero when that got big. I showed him Guitar Hero and he had a couple of cracks at that. But if there was a game based on my dad, it would probably be one of like the simulator games. Like, my dad taught himself how to put PCs together and all that sort of stuff. So I don't know if there was like a game. I don't even know. I'm not up with the simulator game scene, but apparently there's like simulator games for just about anything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Is there a PC builder simulator?
There is.
There has to be.
There is one. It's on Steam. Yep.
So that would be
PCs.
My dad's game.
Yeah.
That would be the game about my dad, the PC builder simulator, if there had to be one.
Good set of community questions this week.
Yes, they were good.
Hats off, community. You've come up with some interesting ponderings this week. I've enjoyed it. But that was the last one.
That was the last one. We do have one more super chat though.
Oh.
From Faisal. If your cat was a cast member of Friends, and then he's gone, never mind.
I can answer this. If my cat
I love it.
was a cast member of Friends, it would be the roommate that Chandler gets when Joey moves out.
Oh yes, that dude. He's in Saving Private Ryan as well.
He is in Saving Private Ryan.
That real crazy guy. Yeah.
What's his name? Ultimate Friends.
Eddie.
Friends. Well played. Yeah, it is Eddie.
Told you, mate. You don't beat me at Friends, mate. You don't beat me at Friends trivia.
Be warned, MVG. The supposed Christmas episode is a Friends quiz.
Oh god!
I'm gonna host it.
I'm gonna have to dip. I'm gonna have to dip on that one.
Sorry, guys. I've got something on at Christmas, so I can't be able to
have a prior engagement.
Oh dear! Amazing. Well, look, we've got to the end. 2.5 hours for a week with no news. I'm impressed and disturbed. It's been fun, and MVG, mad props to you again for once again joining us. It's been a blast.
Thanks heaps, Tim.
Yeah, it's been jolly good fun as always. I know we teased a special guest last week, all right? And I'm going to go out on record of saying who our special guest will be next week, because I should get confirmation in the next 5 days.
Don't say it.
Don't want to jinx it, but should get confirmation and a date in the next week or so. Still no one's guessed it, which I'm surprised at. It's going to be a fun episode. And we've got some other guests lined up as well, right?
We
do. So it'll be
I've
fun.
Been wanting to get Dim back for a while now. We've been in DMs in Discord for a while, and I've been wanting to get him back.
The timing was good. Finally, Quake's out. He can maybe relax a little bit. But not.
Well, that's what we wanted. We wanted to get him on as soon as Quake came out, but couldn't get him on.
Can't relax too long though, because Blade Runner.
Next time you try to get me on. Next time you try to get me on and I say I can't, I'm busy, I'm working on something. So
yeah, fair point. Okay. Fair point. I'll keep an eye out. We'll have to keep asking you so I can get a feel for when Blade Runner's going to drop. Busy right now. Okay, cool. Okay, I'll book off some time. I'm going to play that game. So, man, I can't wait. Can't wait to play it. But yeah, absolutely brilliant. Thank you to the chat for being very energetic this evening. It's been really, really good fun hanging out with everybody. And thank you for all the super chats. We are 7 subscribers away from 8,500, which is nice. So cool. We're still kind of on target for our big 10K, which should happen before the end of the year, which is pretty cool. So if you're watching and you haven't clicked the button, go click the button and ring the notification bell. But on that note, we'll let everyone go. I'm going to go to bed, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Ciao for now.